What's up, y'all? Welcome back. Welcome back to another one. Hope all is well. Peace to y'all. Peace to everybody. How's everybody doing? I want to go over this RICO case again because I had to redo it. I'm just letting some people know I'm live. So they don't be getting the notifications. Let's see. What's up, everybody? Oh, Abbott, I see you. Okay, I was about to send you a message. This lady right here, let me show you. With that whole Gene Deal situation and did not, this lady was there. She said she was the eyewitness to everything. I be sitting near her in court. Let me see if she got it.
Lying about what happened that day between Gene Deal and the YouTuber Donette.
Hold on. Turn the brightness down.
YouTuber Donette. I wasn't gonna make a video, but now that the lies have been spreading, I need to come clean. I was the only eyewitness in that elevator when the fight broke out between Gene Deal and Donette. Me and that lady that said that she was Asian. That was it. Now I'm hearing that there's some guy named Charlie pretending he was an eyewitness. No, he wasn't. This is what happened. I was in the elevator with Gene Deal and this woman. We go downstairs. We get out of the elevator. All of a sudden, Donette, the YouTuber, walks up. He confronts Gene Deal. Gene Deal, all of a sudden, takes his hand, puts it on Donette's chain, and shoves him. Now, people are saying that Gene knocked him out. That did not happen. He just, kind of did one of these for a second. Then, I'm standing there thinking, oh, shit. Well, this is getting a little wild. Security starts looking at me like, and I'm like, I don't know. And I'm like, yeah, maybe you should come on over here, I guess. They waited 5 minutes. Do I look like security? They thought I could handle it. Now, someone said that there was a rumor that they told Gene Deal not to come back the next day. I didn't see that. I heard they didn't even know what was going on. No one saw the fight except me and that lady. They just told us all to leave. They're like, can you just grab your phones and get out of the building? I think the reason Gene Deal didn't come back the next day is because he didn't want to deal with the bullshit. That's what I think happened. Did not get knocked out. Holy shit, that is a tongue twister. Did not get knocked out, and I don't think Gene Deal was kicked out. These are all lies being told on the internet. I hate that I'm the only eyewitness here, but I also love it because I love when the truth comes to light, and that is what happened. Cheers.
Okay, so that's what she said right there. She do be at court every day. Let me tell you a funny story about her real quick. I got a funny celebrity scandalist was there too. I'm gonna give y'all the link in a second if y'all want to come on. I want to give y'all a funny story. Remember, celebrity scandalist. She was all right. So I'm sitting right here. Celebrity scandalist is sitting to my right, and this lady is sitting to celebrity scandalist right. It's this guy from what did he say he's from? At the Breakfast Club, Hot 97. He's in there doing journalism work for Hot 97. I didn't realize he was sitting next to us because his bag was on the floor, right? And I'm half asleep because the trial, it didn't even start yet. It was getting ready to start. I'm like this. I'm like dozing off, right? Next thing you know, I look to my right. She's sitting there. She's sitting next to Celebrity Scandalist, but I don't think Celebrity Scandalist saw the dude's bag there. So he came back. She's sitting in his seat, and he was like, "You shouldn't take people's seats like that." To her, "You shouldn't take people's seats like that." That is rude. Give me my bag, right? So he snatched his bag, and then he walked off. He gave her this like crazy look, and she's looking like this, and she looking at us like, what the fuck is his problem? So then he sat in the front. He's still screw facing her. That was crazy. This lady right here.
People are lying about what happened that day between
Her. That was hilarious. They had a crazy exchange up in there. Let me give the invite link if y'all want to come on. We had a nice panel the other night. I fell asleep on y'all though. I wanted to show you something. There was a guy. Let me see a celebrity scandalous if you remember this guy or not. Let me see. I want to see if you remember this guy or not. Hold on.
Daddy's girl?
No, that's not it. Go to the oldest videos. If you go back to his oldest videos on YouTube, you're going to see a lot of stuff. You're going to see some of the people that testified. I'm trying to find it.
Working on this last train to Paris. I've been in the booth for the last 10 hours, and usually nobody's allowed to be in here. But I guess somebody was in here because I came in. Okay, spray. Yeah, they know who they are. Was it you? Hey, yo, who gonna keep it funky today?
Hold on. No, that's not it. That's not the video. There's another video. All right, here it is. Celebrity, you listening? You looking?
Yes, I have a bartender full time.
Hold on.
Stands here and makes me my favorite drink, a Diddy Red Bar. Yes, this is in my backyard of my luxurious Beverly Hills estate. Yes, I have a bartender full time that just stands here and makes me my favorite drink, a Diddy, which I'm going to show you how to make today, that you can make in your home, in your backyard, by your personal bar. You take 1.5 ounces of Ciroc vodka, like so. 3 ounces of lemonade, like so.
Do you recognize that guy? Did you recognize that guy? Because he testified.
Can we shake it up? Nice tall cup of ice. There you have it. A Diddy.
That's the assistant. That's the assistant. That's when he was younger. He's tall. He's very tall. That's him. You see how he was looking in the video? Like,
on an all-new Making His Band. The new singer's new band.
no, that's not it. He did a lot of vlogging. He sure did. I just was never aware of it. I never really think to check his channel. He did a lot of vlogging.
So black right here. As you can see, no second of me. This is options. Okay. Fly nigga getting dressed. You know. And in my bank account.
No, that's not what I wanted to see. I can't find it now. I'm looking for the one where he was chilling with Nas. I was telling you all about that one. And what's her name was side-eyeing him. It was at one. It was like one of them parties that he was at. He got a lot of stuff documented on his channel, actually. I just got to go find which one. If you check some of his show footage, you're going to see people that was with the, I can't show one video because it's going to show somebody. I have to find it later. It's a lot of videos. I didn't realize he did all this vlogging. He did quite a bit over the years. I just never checked for it. You know, if he's not in my algorithm, I'm not going to see it because I'm just not checking for him. Oh, Black Excellent short film. The Rock Nation brunch. That's what I'm saying. The Black Excellence. Where are these people at, man? Look at Jay. That's not what I'm looking for, though. I'm looking for another one. I'm gonna have to look for Cassie featuring G-Eazy. Love a Loser. Just celebrate life. I'll look for it later, man. For real, I'll look for it later. Well, maybe I could do this. Let me see. Diddy and Nas and Khan. Is this it? No, that's not it. Anyway, I'll find it later. Eyes, eyes, eyes. You said Diddy Drink Champs? Nah, they might copyright me, man. Eyes, eyes.
Yeah, I love this drink.
Where you put my bag?
I like when you like this, Daddy.
Where you put my bag?
Daddy, I like when you scrambling and scraping for shit.
No. I
like that.
You know, I've been practicing. I got
He said, I like when you scrambling and scraping.
Mr. Lee,
Yeah, I love this drink.
Where you put my
I
bag?
like when you like this, Daddy.
Where you put my bag?
Daddy, I like when you scrambling and scraping. When you scrambling and scraping for shit.
No. Okay, yeah, I'm not gonna go over that one.
Make a
That
wish. Just blow it out. It's your birthday every day.
Every day's a birthday on Drink Champs, goddammit. I'm in.
Where I look
Did you
back
miss
on
me?
where I became.
Did you miss me though? For real, because I'm saying it seems like a thing.
I
It
miss
was his
partying
birthday
with
party.
folks, man.
Man, but I'm talking about for your birthday.
Huh?
Why won't you party with me for your birthday, man?
We partied for my birthday before. You came to my party.
No, but me and you ain't never really party. You know what I'm saying?
Eyes. That was hilarious.
Eyes, brother.
He said, you like me ain't scrambling. He said, you scram. I like how you scrambling and scraping and shit. I like how you scrambling and scraping. Eyes.
You can actually see Diddy turning into the diddler the more and more that he drinks.
Our offense without him needs. I want to have another shot to that before y'all drink, because I want to just make sure. But I just want to let y'all know y'all drink champs, where everything goes, you know, when we slur our words and shit.
Come on,
No, this is me and you.
Oh, I need a shot.
Yeah, I got you. Eyes.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I love this drink.
Where you
champs.
put my bag?
I like when you like this, Daddy. Daddy, I like when you scrambling and scraping for shit. I like that. Did you miss me though? Man, but I'm talking about for your birthday.
Huh?
Why won't you party with me for your birthday, man?
We partied for my birthday before. You came to my party.
No, but me and you ain't never really party. You know what I'm saying? Eyes, brother. Eyes.
He said, how come you never partied with me for your birthday, brother? How come you never partied with me for your birthday, man? Eyes. Oh, I never seen this one. Eyes, man. Eyes. Eyes, man. Eyes. Yeah, so what I'll be looking for next week is them to further prove this RICO. That's what I'm pretty much looking for. We'll see what happens. See if they will and like I said, you know, with the closing arguments, you know that the prosecution goes twice in the closing arguments. Their first closing argument, the government goes first because they carry the burden of proof. The defense goes second in their closing argument. They go second and respond to the government's initial closing. And then the government gets a last word. This is called the rebuttal, where they respond directly to the defendant's arguments. Now, you might say to yourself, why does the government get two chances? Because in criminal cases, the burden on the prosecution, the burden is on the prosecution to prove guilt beyond reasonable doubt. That's why the federal rules give the prosecution a first round and then a final rebuttal after the defense. Thank you, Celebrity, for the eyes. Remember Diddy. You said, remember Diddy don't want the escorts looking in his eyes. Oh, yeah, I remember that. Thank you for the blessing. Eyes. So remember, in the closing is very important. They get to go twice. The prosecution, the burden is on them to prove this beyond reasonable doubt. So when you see that, when you hear about that, they're like, hey, why did the government win twice? Now you know. We also talked about the pardon situation. Now, Trump's response, when asked about the possibility of pardoning Combs, President Trump confirmed no formal request has been made by Combs' team, but he notably didn't rule it out. Nobody's asked eyes. You had to be, we say you had to be the one to ask. Fox News reporter Peter Trump told the reporter on on the May 30th, 2025. I look at what's happening. He added, acknowledging that Combs' trial is getting a lot of coverage. Trump said he hasn't followed the trial closely and hasn't spoken to Combs in years, but remarked that some people have been very close to asking about a pardon. He recalls Combs used to really like me a lot before Trump's political career, and stressed that he felt someone was being mistreated by the system. He would consider intervening whether they like him or not. Notably, since taking office again in January 2025, Trump has already issued a flurry of controversial pardons, including to celebrity figures and reality TV stars like Todd and Julie Chrisley, and even blanket pardon for January 6th riot participants. So he said, you know, we're looking into it. But he's trying to say that nobody has made a formal request. So that's it with the pardon. And if he gets a pardon, he pretty much is forgiven for the crime. But if he is convicted, the conviction stays on his record, but everything else is forgiven. And then he can actually go back to reality. He'll go back, get his passport and everything. He's free to do whatever he want to do. That's pretty much what will happen. He's free to do whatever. Let me go back up here. Obviously, he wants a full acquittal. That means the government didn't prove the case beyond reasonable doubt on all charges. That's what he's hoping for. And he cannot be tried again if he's acquitted. He's done with that. They can't try him for the same crime. It's double jeopardy. A partial acquittal, as we know, is he's guilty on some charges, not guilty on other charges. That doesn't mean he walk. It just depending on what he is convicted of. It carries some charges carries a minimum guideline, minimum sentencing, and some don't. So, and I already talked about jury nullification. This happens when a jury believes the defendant is guilty but refuses to convict because they believe the law is unjust or the punishment will be unfair. That means jurors sympathize with the defendant. This might happen in Luigi's case. They keep calling for it in Luigi Mangione's case. I don't think that's going to happen, though. And then they say they may think that the feds is overreaching or the prosecution is politically or racially motivated. It's not legal defense, though. Defense attorneys cannot explicitly argue for nullification in court, but they can make subtle hints at it to the jury and play on the jury's conscience. The judge cannot punish the jury for acquitting based on nullification. Hung jury or mistrial, that means they can't reach a unanimous decision. And like I said, it helps Diddy because the government has to decide whether to try the case, offer another plea or a better plea deal than the previous, or drop the charges altogether. And also it gives the defense another opportunity to poke holes in the weaknesses in the government's case for the second go around. Also, the prosecution have to look at their strategy, because they, it didn't work the first time. They should have to figure out what's up with my strategy. So that's it right there. And we know he has the right to appeal. After a conviction, the notice of appeal must be 14 days. No, 14 days after sentencing. Can he appeal? Legal errors, violation of his constitutional rights, insufficient evidence, ineffective assistance of counsel, prosecutorial misconduct, sentencing errors, stuff like that. So these are some of the things. But reasonable doubt is reasonable. You can't, first of all, reasonable doubt, you can't think he did it. You have to know he did it. You can't say, oh, he more than likely did it. No, you can't find him guilty. Beyond reasonable doubt means the jury must be fully convinced that the defendant is guilty, not just probably guilty or likely guilty, but that there is no logical or reasonable explanation other than the defendant committed the crime. So that's what that is. It's the highest standard in criminal cases. So I give you an example. Let's say the prosecution presents evidence that Diddy was in the same hotel as the victim. That might raise suspicion, but if there's no solid video placing him at the scene of the crime, or witnesses are inconsistent, DNA and digital evidence is missing or flawed, then the jury might reasonably doubt his guilt, and they must vote not guilty. Regardless if they like him or not, regardless. They have to vote not guilty, regardless if they like him or not. Now, the judge usually instruct the jurors like this. Proof beyond reasonable doubt is proof that leaves you firmly convinced of the defendant's guilt. If you think there's a real possibility he's not guilty, you must give him the benefit of the doubt and acquit. So yeah, it doesn't matter how they feel about him. They have to go by this. This is the standard they have to go by. And for this particular case, there's really no smoking gun. They're going off of people's testimony for right now. I don't know what's going to happen next week, because they're going to be presenting records next week. But just looking at some of my notes that I had jotted down in court, you look old school way. That's loud. Somebody's system out there. I'm trying to see. There was text messages from Cassie saying she loved freak offs with Puff. Puff sent messages that he wants to have a freak off. Cass replied, yes, it's okay. Different things like that. There's text message to her saying that she want to freak off, stuff like that. But the thing is, the moment she say no, and if they believe that she was forced to do a freak off, they're going to have to pretty much go by testimony or on text messages. And I don't know how they're going to come up with that. But we'll see. Because in that video, she didn't want to, I guess. You heard what I said? I said, I guess that she didn't want to partake. So I can't say he's guilty of by force right there, because I said, I guess. So I got to move on. That ain't enough to convict him there. Because I said, I guess that happened. What's another example? I mean, you have to go on witness testimony. Do you believe Kid Cudi is credible? Do you believe Capricorn Clark is credible? Do you believe Cassie is credible? Do you believe Mia is credible? Do you believe Don Richard is credible? Do you believe the Punisher is credible? Do you believe the first guy that they interviewed is credible? Stuff like that. That's what they have to go on for right now, unless there's a smoking gun coming, meaning that there's something that they're going to present that casts no doubt in your mind no more that he's guilty. Usually that's video or something, or prints on the gun. If it's a murder case, this is not a murder case though. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I have to tell you about the Mann Act because we keep talking about this sex trafficking, but the Mann Act is like this. The Mann Act was passed in 1910 as a federal law that makes it illegal to knowingly transport any individual across state lines for the purposes of prostitution or any sexual activity. You hear that? Or any sexual activity. You know why they said that? I'll tell you in a second. Or any sexual activity for which any person can be charged with a criminal offense. Now, why did they say that? Why did they say knowingly transport any individual across state lines for the purposes of prostitution or sexual activity? Because, you know, they're getting a lot of pimps on that, crossing girls to state lines for the purpose of prostitution or any sexual activity, because that was for Jack Johnson. That's why. Because that was his wife at the time. So they got him on that because they figured y'all having sex, right? Y'all married. So that's illegal. This started for Jack Johnson. That's why when people are charged with this Mann Act, they usually say it's racially motivated, because it started off as being racially motivated since its inception. The legal focus, though, cross-state, interstate transportation for the purposes of commercial sex, illicit sexual activity, or trafficking. Consent of the persons being transported does not matter. Remember that. Consent of the person being transported does not matter. This is why they say that. Because Jack Johnson was like, my wife, this is my wife, of course she consent. No, that doesn't matter, Jack. Doesn't matter, Jack. You cross state lines with this woman and you know it's illegal. So that's why they put that in there. And they're using it right now. So that's why they're saying it's racially motivated. You get it now? Because the Punisher and them said, well, they paid me for my time and my experience. Guess what? He's admitting to it now. He's admitting to the sex. And he talked about the sex. Remember he talked about he couldn't get it up? He talked about it. So that's why it's a little dangerous for Puff there. It was originally aimed at white slavery. It's back to Jack Johnson again. White slavery. Trying to say that he had a white slave. It was originally aimed at white slavery, a racist term used at the time to describe sex work and trafficking. But the law was broadly written, and over the years it has been weaponized. And also, this was also put into law because after slavery, they feared a lot of brothers was gonna take white men and white women and pimp them out, make them slaves. They thought it was gonna be some reverse slavery. They thought he was gonna come get revenge. I'm just telling you the history on it because I know it. That's why when you charge people with the Mann Act, it's usually racially motivated. Now, Jack Johnson and the Mann Act. Who was Jack Johnson? The first black heavyweight boxing champion, 1908. Outspoken, wealthy, and had a romantic relationship with white women, which made him a target in the Jim Crow America. How the government used the Mann Act against him. Well, in 1913, he was charged and convicted under the Mann Act for taking his white girlfriend across state lines even though their relationship was consensual. The case was widely seen as racially motivated. Johnson fled the U.S. and lived in exile and later surrendered to serve a 1-year prison sentence. In 2018, President Trump at the time issued a pardon to Jack Johnson, acknowledging the racist misuse of the law. So he didn't do anything wrong, but they charged him with the Mann Act, and they never took it off the books. It's still there. Applying the Mann Act to Diddy's case. Now watch this. If the prosecutors want to apply the Mann Act to Diddy, here's how it could be used. Crossing state lines for sex-related crimes. If the government can prove that Diddy paid for, arranged, or coerced someone to cross state lines, can they prove that? For the purpose of sex acts, prostitution, or illicit, remember this, or illicit sexual activity. He could face federal charges under the Mann Act. Consent doesn't matter, even if the alleged victims consented. If the government claims he used force, fraud, or coercion. So consent doesn't matter if they prove that he used force, fraud, or coercion. I'm going to come back to that. If the person was underage, or if drugs, alcohol were used to impair consent, the Mann Act still applies. Now stop right there. Let's go back. Even if the alleged victims consented, if he used force, fraud, or coercion, was there fraud used? You remember when she said, when the guy came to the door, and even the guy told the same story Cassie did. She said that, well, I told them that it was for a bachelorette party. But when I talked to them, it was something different. I just said, you know, they pretty much did that to get the person up there. I want to do some a sexy act for my birthday for my husband. She actually lied. Well, they consider that fraud. So pay attention to that in the closing statements for the government. They may use that against them and say that was fraud. That's how we're proving it. But we're going to see. Did Diddy use coercion? They may have more testimony on him forcing her to have a freak off. Can they prove that? I don't know. Did he use force? They talked about they had fights, but the person said he didn't know what they were fighting about. Do they have somebody else to testify saying they were fighting because of the she didn't want to do it anymore? Linked to RICO or human trafficking, the Mann Act violation are often used as predicate crimes under the RICO charges, alongside human trafficking statutes, to build a broader federal case. This is potentially how it connects to the Diddy investigation, especially if the feds believe there is a pattern of behavior or organized effort involving multiple people and victims. So they're saying here a pattern of behavior. So they talked about multiple times these things with these sex acts was set up. So that's what I want to discuss. So let me do this. So it's interesting. So we have to wait and see. But that's what they're trying to get him on now. I believe I'm in agreement with Sammy the Bull Gravano. I think they should not have charged him with the RICO. I think they should charge him with the other crimes. That's it, not the RICO. Because he said, okay, he's there for the RICO. He said, you know what he said? He said Cassie should be sitting next to him. And they both should be going to jail together then, if it's like that. He said, still in my, let me see. So, what's up, my dad? You want to come up? I promise I ain't gonna fall asleep on y'all. I ain't gonna be on for too long. I got an early one tomorrow. Hey, what's going on, my dad?
Nothing much. Why did he say not charge him with the RICO?
Oh, Sammy the Bull,
Hmm.
because he said he should it don't he think they shouldn't have charged him with that because it might be hard to prove, but he see where they're going with it. But he said that if that's the case, Cassie should be charged. If that's the case, but he said it would have been easier to just to charge him with the rest of the crimes and not the RICO. But he said being that they charging him with the RICO, he understands where the government is going with it. He understands what they're trying to do.
I looked at the RICO Act and the Mann Act on, I think that was Saturday or Sunday. No, Saturday. It had to be Saturday.
Yeah, because the Mann Act is considered a predicate act
Mm-hmm.
under the
Mm-hmm.
RICO.
Mm-hmm.
So it's something that was good. This was good to learn, you know.
Yeah, but Max,
Hmm.
after looking at them, both of them, and looking at cases, not really similarly situated, but other cases that the government has brought, Keith Raniere with Nexium.
Yeah, next thing.
Um, there's a bunch of them, but looking at it and like reflecting on the testimony,
Hmm.
the government is cooking.
You think so?
I mean,
A
the
lot of it.
government is cooking. First of all, a lot of people are forgetting that yes, Cassie indeed was his girlfriend for a long period of time. I think 11 years.
Hmm.
But a lot of people forget that she was also his employee.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's true.
So,
Yeah.
the RICO and enterprise, the racketeering and corrupt organization act, they almost had to charge him with that
I
because
mean,
their star
yeah.
witness, the one that was with him the longest in a relationship and probably the
Well,
longest through these, F
you know why
FOs.
Sammy the Bull said they charged him with that? Because they want to go for everything. They want to take his money.
Hmm.
Because they're gonna try to seize everything.
They're not gonna try. If he blows trial, they're gonna be able to actually seize every single thing that he had. These cars, homes, businesses, everything.
Right.
The only thing that would save him, but I think I heard, didn't they say at one point that Puffy has assets that are not in his name?
I heard that.
So I mean, they may not be able to take everything.
They can still go after because they can say that these people got it from ill-gotten gains.
They would have to prove that though.
They don't have to prove it. He's already convicted, and if he put in somebody's name, they can go get it.
Nah, they would have to prove it because I have a friend. Remember, I went through this whole Rico situation with an actual, like, people that I knew, people I hung out with, and Pete Game, one of the people charged in the Rico, was ultimately found convicted. His girlfriend, she just bought a new house. She had another house, and she had like fancy, really nice luxury vehicles,
Hmm.
but she also had a really good job. The government knew they were in a relationship, but they could not actually prove that her homes and her cars were based on that relationship. So they couldn't touch it. Or maybe they didn't want to touch it. I don't know. But they didn't touch it.
Let me see. Let me find out. Let me see something.
It's a little too late right now for him to switch assets around. And if he did like try to move things around once he was notified of potential charges, then they will be able to go and get it. But if these things are like long established homes and cars and
Right,
stocks
here
and
it is, Medea.
bonds, hmm?
If Diddy is convicted under the federal RICO laws, the government can confiscate, seize, forfeit his assets, even if the assets in other people's names, under certain conditions, like you said. Here's a full breakdown. Under the Racketeer Influence and Corruption Organization Act, the RICO,
Hmm.
a conviction allows the federal government to seize any assets that are proceeds from the criminal enterprise, money made from trafficking and bribery, instruments used in committing the crimes, vehicles, homes, used, stuff like that. Interest in the criminal enterprise itself, ownership stakes in companies connected to the racketeering. This is called criminal forfeiture, and it's automatic with conviction. Now, here's the thing. Can they seize assets in someone else's name? Yes, under two doctrines: nominee ownership or straw owners. Watch this. If Diddy puts assets in other person's name, whether it's a girlfriend, family member, bodyguard, but still controls or benefits from them, the government can pierce through the name and claim its assets in disguise. The government can show it's a sham or nominee arrangement and seize the property. Example: if Diddy buys a $5 million house and put it in the assistant's name, or hide it, um, hold on, or hide it from investigators, the feds can argue it's constructively owned by him and seize it. Now, substitute assets. If Diddy hides or transfer assets to avoid seizure, the government can go after substitute property, even if not directly tied to the crime, as long as it helps satisfy the judgment. This including cars, jewelry, real estate, bank accounts, and businesses, even ones after the crime, as long as it's part of the effort to shield assets. They also have civil asset forfeiture, before or without conviction. In some cases, even before conviction, the government can bring a civil forfeiture case. But let's go. We're not going with that. Um, can this affect innocent people? Yes, but there's a defense called innocent owners defenses. If someone can prove they legitimately own the asset, like you were just saying before,
Hmm.
and didn't know or participate in illegal activity, they might stop the government from seizing. However, if they knew what was going on, they're out of luck. So, for example, if that person you were saying, she was totally protected, but guess what? Let's say if she knew about the crime being committed, they'll still come get it. Basically, to sum this up, Medea,
Hmm.
they can make rules up as they go along and just come take your shit.
Yeah, well, that's wild.
It's wild, isn't it?
When I was reading up on it too, it said that, if convicted, this could open the doors to um civil litigations, like solidifying, pretty much strengthening civil cases.
Right.
So all those cases that he has pending in New York, you know, they actually get like a boost.
So check this out. Say if he's convicted, and say if he do 15 years. This is designed. All of this is designed to take his money away. So when he do get out, he'll just be like me, man. This is made to break him.
Yo, wait, Max, can you imagine Diddy doing time and then getting out, and then you up in Jersey visiting your family and whatnot, and you call for Uber, and he your Uber driver?
No, he's not
Oh,
gonna do that. I'm gonna tell you why.
why?
He has enough knowledge and know how to make the money back. You can't take the
Mm,
knowledge from him. You can take the money, but you can't take the hustle from him and the knowledge. He'll get it back. He'll get something back.
yeah, R. Kelly released a single from Butner prison.
Who? Oh, for R. Kelly?
Yeah, he released a single off of I think it was a Chris Brown challenge.
Mm-hmm.
He released like a song on top of Chris Brown's beat. Hmm. It's whack, but he released it.
He said he'll be 70 in 15 years. Yeah. Um, yeah, it's crazy. Um, that's why this case is very, very serious for him. And the jury has a huge responsibility. Like, if you think he did it, that's not good enough to convict him. That's my whole point in all this.
Well, the biggest part of this, or the biggest issue that I feel that his defense is more than likely grappling with right now, is that you can disbelieve a couple of the witnesses. You certainly can, like Dawn Richards. Westmoreland went hard at her, and kind of made her look crazy a little bit. um
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people don't really have a whole lot of faith in Mia because of her postings, and also some of the things that she did after she said that she was essayed by him and things of that nature. So, the jury can certainly be like, yeah, well, we don't know. But there has been so much other testimony, which, by the way, is evidence to corroborate everything that Cassie said. And in addition to that, those other individuals, with the exception of the exotic people, the performers, they didn't have any real instances of abuse, physical abuse. Kid Cudi didn't have any. The LAPD officer who was the head of security, he didn't really have any. But I'm talking about Cassie, Deontay Nash.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna include Mia, Dawn, um, as well as his assistants. They've all recounted, you know, the coercion piece. That coercion piece. You'll be fired. He punching people, he hitting people, he smacking folk, throwing things at people. Like, he was just out here wilding.
Yeah. It's like his whole crew, like him and his crew. It's like, I
And
don't
don't
know.
get me wrong, everybody in the chat, like, everybody has had bosses who are absolute jerks.
Mm-hmm.
Just absolute jerks. Like, you get up, you going in to face a jerk, but you go anyway because you got to make your bread to pay your bills and take care of your children or your family, whatever, or yourself. But like, the things that are coming out about Diddy, they don't look good from that, because I'm looking at it from a standpoint of, I was on the jury, I'd be like, yeah, I've had a boss or two who's been like real nasty to me. I've had a boss or two who, threatened to fire me for insubordination or, for not finishing the project on time or not doing something right. But it's like the instances in which they say that he utilized threats and or
Mm,
violence, like Capricorn Clark with the pum pum.
mm.
It's just those type of things to me is like this is a not a level up. This is the definition to me, in my opinion, of coercion and force.
What do you think about this comment?
What they say.
It says Cassie said, "Is she a lead pub? Who else can she get with? Jay-Z? He's not single."
I honestly believe, and you know what? Chopper touched on it. Chopper touched on it, and I agree with him. He said in an interview, a recent interview, he was like, Cassie, Ryan Leslie cared about her as an artist, but he also had that lust after her. Like, he lusted after her too. But in his opinion, from, working and being around them and being on the inside of Bad Boy, because a lot of people think that he said, I only made making the band and that was it. No, he did making the band and then he signed a $10 million deal with Bad Boy. So he was still working with Diddy for a number of years after making the band. And he had plenty of time around them. And he was like, in his opinion, Diddy just straight up lusted after Cassie. He didn't care about her as an artist. Like, he was just like, I got this pretty young thing and I'm going to do with her as I will or whatever. And he said that Cassie made a very bad decision in dumping Ryan for Diddy because she thought, in her mind, she thought that she could like play, like outplay a player. And
Man.
he was like she underestimated Diddy because Diddy had been around the block and he was much older than her. So I think the fact that she brought up the fact of, oh, if I break up with him, who else is available? Jay-Z. She had gotten accustomed to the lifestyle. She had gotten accustomed to the money. She had gotten accustomed to the red carpet. She had gotten accustomed to the life. I mean, she was young and it was at some point, and some points I would just say was probably fun for her. So she was just keeping it real, like, well, if I break up with him, who am I gonna date? A regular person? Like, but look at who she ended up with, a regular person.
Right. She changed her mind.
I don't know if she necessarily changed her mind or if she just matured out of that juvenile thinking. She went into the relationship with Diddy like, I'm gonna have him wrapped around my finger and get everything that I want, my
Mm-hmm.
records sold, my this, my that, whatever. I'm gonna climb the charts. Diddy was hot back then.
Mm-hmm.
He was the biggest thing going back then in music. So clearly she was like, this is a great opportunity. And then when she realized that he liked her,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying? That was like, okay, bet. Let's go. But I think she matured over the years and saw, okay, it's not about the money. It's not about the red carpet. It's not about none of that.
Yeah, it's like she got tired of freaking off.
Yeah. And at that point in time, when she said who's she gonna date, Jay-Z is already taken, she was probably really wanting to stay in that lifestyle, flying to Istanbul, flying here, going on private jets. Come on now, Max. If you
And
had let Max, if you
mm-hmm.
had like a sugar mama
Mm-hmm.
that was flying you everywhere, Jamaica, Turks and Caicos,
Mm-hmm.
you staying in private villas, you staying on private islands. You got a chef traveling with y'all, all that other stuff,
Damn.
and like you wearing the best linen, you
Mm.
got a private barber traveling with you, everything, like everything is there. You get up in the morning, you go downstairs, You got a full course breakfast, already hot chafing pans laid out, all of that. And then the idea of breaking up with her, you like, who I'm gonna get? Oprah? Oprah is with Stedman, you know?
Mm. But what she didn't know was Nas might be, he's richer than Puff. She didn't know that. And he was single. She didn't know that. His investment company that he has with some partners, they were the early investors in Uber and Lyft. He's a billionaire on paper. She didn't know it. Nobody knows that. Nobody really know it unless you do some research on him. And he moves very low key. He stayed to himself. He's very low key. And she
Now
just
stay
didn't
out the
know it.
way.
Yeah, he got more money probably than, it's not his personal wealth, it's his company's wealth. His investment company is worth
Hmm.
billions. She just didn't know it. She just didn't realize it. But he wouldn't have got with her anyway, because he probably like, nah, that's Puff's girl. He probably wouldn't have done that.
Probably not.
I
But the
wouldn't have,
fact,
look, I'm gonna tell you this. Even like,
Mhm.
let's say I might not be best friends with Puff, right? We might be just associates, just in the entertainment industry. If I know that she's with him, I wouldn't mess with her, just out of respect for him.
But Max, you still didn't answer the question. Like, would you be gung ho to break up with old girl?
I mean, she must. Is she treating me right?
No, she ain't treating you right. She got you in FOs every other week, telling you to turn Max, turn this way. Max, nope, flip her over. Sitting in
Oh,
a chair with a hijab on.
damn. I mean, will she watch me freak off other women?
Yeah.
Um, it depends on if I want to do that or not. If I don't want to do that, then at this level, the money she would have gave me, I'm smart. I would have saved money. I would have started saving money and putting in a certain account so I can just leave her ass. That's what I would have done.
Okay.
Like over the years that she gave me millions, the millions would have been parked away. And then I would have went back to regular life, just low key.
Okay.
No, you had to set yourself up. I'm like, look, I'm not gonna sit up here but I mean, if I want to participate in the free calls, that's different. That's just me and her little secret. So yeah, I'll probably still be down with it if I want to be down with the free calls. Imagine if that was in the reverse. I'm with a billionaire woman and I'm getting tired of her wanting to freak off, like wanting to see me have sex with other women.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would think your soul will get tired at some point.
Mm-hmm.
It might seem like for guys, it might seem like the thing to do, but I think your soul will get tired of it because you feel like you're being owned at that point.
Like you're an object.
You're an object and she own you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it doesn't matter even in reverse. It'll probably weigh on you. So you got to have an exit plan. My exit plan is I would have saved all the money and then bounce.
Mm-hmm.
And then if she threatened to release the videos of me, I
Mm-hmm.
said, go ahead and release them because I'm going to tell everybody you had me do it. So go ahead. Now, um, yeah. Let me see. Who was that powerful? They had he was there. He was her sugar mama. I mean, he had a sugar mama that was very powerful, and she was controlling him. It was what's her name? Something Blanco. Griselda Blanco. She had a brother, boyfriend, a young brother, right, from New
Mm-hmm.
York, and she was giving him everything he wanted. A day, everything. He had all the finest of clothes on, but she started having people watch him if he had other girlfriends.
Oh
You
my
know, at the
God.
time, she was very dangerous. That was Griselda Blanco.
Mm-hmm.
She was a killer.
Mm-hmm.
And That's one of the stories I could think about. I'm sure there's many others out there, but um, yeah, it's crazy. This whole thing, I don't know. It's just a jury. The jury have to figure it out. And
Yeah, they do.
and who do they find credible? And that's the job, because Brian still Monday, he's still working on Mia, the cross examination.
Well, I'm waiting for them to pull out, because okay, he brought up a lot of um key points about her posting and posing with him after the alleged essay as him
Mm-hmm.
pretending to be a doctor catching her baby, like
Mm,
so he clearly was close to her body.
mm,
um he brought up some interesting points, but the thing of it is like that was all still a part of like her job. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not to me, it doesn't, for me personally, it doesn't diminish what she says happened simply because people who understand or have a general understanding of Stockholm syndrome,
mm.
abuse victims, how they react to certain different things, how they compartmentalize all of that other stuff. So I'm looking for the defense to come out with like that powerful, like, you lying, just straight up. And the other key thing that I noticed too, though, Max,
Mm-hmm.
Brian still said to me on the stand, she said, "You told the government that you were essayed so many times you don't even remember. Isn't it true that you lied about how many times it happened?" That's a problem for me. That's a problem for me. If I'm sitting on that jury
Mm-hmm.
and I hear your attorney say you lied about how many times it happened, that means that you're actually saying that it did happen at least once.
Right.
That's that's what I'm saying about his defense. Like, they need to choose their words wisely. Like, why are you saying you lied about how many times it happened? That means you are contending that it did happen.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
That's problematic to me. That whole question, problematic.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah, you're right about that.
And for his defense attorney to actually word it in that way, instead of saying, "Mia, isn't it true that you indicated that you were essayed by my client so many times you don't recall?" Those type of events are extremely traumatizing, and in my opinion, it's from research and studies,
Mm-hmm.
most victims of such crimes recall, whether it be vaguely or, there's a permanent date or time etched in their mind, you could at least remember the total amount of times. So could you elaborate on why you don't recall? Like, I would like be sneaky with it.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't just say, didn't you lie about how many times it happened? That means you're saying it happened, sir.
Yeah. Man, I didn't think about it like that.
Man, when I heard that, I was like, what is he doing? Why would he even ask her that question like that? And you see, the government did not object.
No, they did not.
No, because they liked that question.
And they probably wrote it down
Yeah.
for their closing.
Yeah, like what? Didn't you lie about how many times it happened? So you are conceding to the fact that your client did do it at least once. And once is enough. You feel what I'm saying?
But he could come back and say no, he meant that she lied about everything. Like, if you lie once, you don't lie about it all.
But Max, once they say that, and word it that way, the jury cannot unhear it. He could
Right.
try to come back and clean it up, get a mop, wipe up the floor, but if I'm sitting on the jury and I hear that question asked in that manner from his defense counsel, I'm like, oh, so his client actually admitted to him that he did do it, but it wasn't that many times.
Right.
That's crazy to me.
And let me ask you this. So like for me, when she said she first started working for him, Mia,
Hmm.
she stayed up for 5 days straight.
Hmm.
Like, what was he? Was he up for 5 days straight too? They had to have been on drugs, man.
This is my thing with that whole part of her about her staying up for 5 days straight. And then I guess he told her she could go to sleep. He was probably up for 5 days straight because we know he was on something, on a couple of things. But even if he didn't really have actual knowledge, she was like burning the midnight oil every single night and every single
Right.
day. As a manager and a boss, and this is his personal assistant, you see their output. You see their output. Emails are timestamped. If my employee is sending me emails at 5 a.m. and then they coming in at 6 a.m. to start the day, and they've been emailing me every hour on the hour or working on a project that I know will take them 3 hours, and then working the full work day, which was long work days according to them, I would ask, like, have you been sleeping properly? It just, I don't know. And the government, the questions that the government is asking are very deliberate. If you go back and you listen to the full testimony, Max, and you listen to the questions that they are asking, I
Hmm.
feel like the only thing that the government has yet to prove in the indictment is the arson. Everything else they've proven.
Mm. Yeah, it's something. It's that RICO, man. When they label him that was problematic.
Yeah, it's a catch-all. It's a catch-all, and it's a tricky, it's a tricky law. The Mann Act also is very tricky as well
Hmm.
because in
Mm.
I think it's in the Mann Act whether the person is in agreement with the sexual activities, bringing them cross state lines for the purposes of that of prostitution
Hmm.
is still covered under the Mann Act. Like, I
Yeah,
think it, just being honest, guys, they need to update the laws.
they
There's
do.
regular men and women who are flying people out for the sole purpose of smacks. The sole purpose. Like, they know what they coming for. The person that's paying for them know what they coming for. It's just that's what it is. So those laws need to be updated to match the time. You know what I'm saying? Because there could be a lot of other people in the chat right now who are guilty of that. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
It's like, come on. And what if you're in a long distance relationship and you
Right.
pay for the ticket? Are you then guilty of this man act?
Yeah, I like. Well, no, that's different. Like if you're in a long distance relationship and she's coming here and y'all gonna do that, that's just a relationship. That's not illegal, and it has to be illicit sex acts. That's not. And now if she get mad at me and say that's what happened, then I'm in trouble. But I could fight that. That I could fight in court because I'm gonna have text messages and all that. So I could fight that. But That normally doesn't happen in normal circumstances. But like I said, it's just their lifestyle was a little bit. His lifestyle and how they were doing is just. I've heard of it before. It's called voyeurism and cuckolding. I've heard of
Yeah.
that lifestyle. That's what he was into. He and it's usually powerful men and rich men. They like to see their women have sex with other men.
Mm-mm.
It's like the embarrassment turns them on. That they're getting humiliated, embarrassed. That their woman is enjoying the company of another man. Yep. So yeah, it's crazy. It's like an addiction at that point. They did it so much.
Yeah, he definitely. I think he had an addiction to it because not only did he do it with her, he did it with Jane Doe.
Um, and what was I one else I wanted to ask you? Okay, well, let me ask you this: What do you think he should take the stand?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
He's gonna be
He's
subject to
he's
cross examination.
yeah, and he's gone this. He's taken it this far. Um, he's gambled this high.
Mm-hmm.
If he does that, he putting all his chips on the table. And I'm gonna tell you right now, the government is probably already prepped the questions that they're going to ask him if he takes that stand. They're already ready for him to take that stand. And if he takes the stand, he may open the door to other evidence.
Yeah, yeah, that's what they said. I heard Tony Busby talking about it. He said that if he's up for cross examination, some things will be brought into the trial. In other words, would not have if he
Yeah,
didn't take the stand.
right. Because there's some things that they cannot ask the witnesses that they're putting on, but they certainly can ask him.
Right, right. And but he will have to be. Now listen to this. I'll let you hear it in a second. It was he talking about Joe. It's Joe Tacopina. He was the ASAP Rocky lawyer. He don't seem to think they have a case. I would have loved to see him on it too, but him taking the stand, Medea. You remember the Alex Murdoch case, and Nature Boy didn't take the stand, did he?
No, he left the courtroom.
Oh, that's right. Oh, right. Yeah, I
He
remember
left the
that.
courtroom mid trial.
Yeah, he left the courtroom. Yeah, you're right about that. He didn't.
Hmm.
But Alec Murdoch took the stand, remember?
Yep.
And he's a seasoned trained lawyer and blew it.
He's a seasoned, trained attorney with a really long legacy of it wasn't his grandfather on the wall in the courthouse that they
Yeah.
tried him in.
Yep.
So he had a background where he came from family law, and the prosecution tore him apart when he got up there.
But so if he gets on the stand, are you thinking about coming up to the trial at all?
I was thinking, it's funny that you asked because I was thinking about going for closing arguments.
Well, I'll see you there. And just to let you know, now it depends on you. It's a couple things if you want. If you want to sit in there where he's at, you got to get there early. But if you don't mind sitting in the overflow room, you can get there when you want.
Yeah, I definitely, I want to see and I want to hear in person. I don't want to read the updates. I want to see in person and hear in person those closing arguments as well as the jury instructions.
Okay, so yeah, in the overflow room they have a monitor, so it's almost like you're in the courtroom because you can see in there
Mm-hmm.
and hear
Mm-hmm.
it. So, so okay, so let me think about this. So they saying that the government is gonna go till probably the end of the second week of June, or maybe a
Mm-hmm.
little bit into week 3, and then the defense has the case, and the defense said they might go past 4th of July.
Wow. They must have a heck of a case in chief to present.
Yeah, so I'm thinking if you looking to come for closing arguments, start looking at the end of June and see where the
Mm-hmm.
case is at.
Yeah. I'm definitely contemplating it though, because I thought the other day, I was like, you know what? I would really like to be in that courthouse for closing statements because that's going to be, I really hope that Brian still does the closing, but I think it's going to be Mark Agnifilo.
Okay.
Yeah, I really do. I think Agnifilo is going to do the closing because of the relationship.
Yeah.
But I don't know what, I don't know why. Maybe it's because I've never seen Agnifilo in action, but I felt like Brian still had such a presence. Even just reading, that was the only question that he's asked throughout the course of this trial, that I was like, Brian, what are you doing? Like, who wrote that question?
He could have wrote it. Puff could have.
That's a crazy question.
So say it again. Let me hear it again.
So Mia, you told the government that you were essayed by Mr. Combs so many times you cannot even remember. Yes? And she said yes. He said, Isn't it true that you lied about how many times it actually happened?
He said that? I don't remember. Man,
He
okay.
said that on Friday. He said that to her.
Isn't
Then
it
she
true that
said,
you lied about how many times it happened?
yes. And she
Wow.
said,
Okay.
I have not lied about anything in this courtroom.
Isn't it true you lied? What do y'all think about that? Isn't it true that you lied about how many times it happened, Medea?
You see how
What would
that
you say?
sounds? That means it happened.
Damn, that's like was a Freudian slip.
But that would mean that it happened. If
Yeah.
he's asking the question in that way, that means that it happened at least once.
Yep,
So
midwife said the same thing. She said it does kind of sound like they acknowledge it happened at least once. That's all you need, like you said, just one time.
that's all the government needs.
See, I like when we talking about. Let me see what Abbott said. Wait, did I just hear Medea correct? His attorney asked her that. Yeah, Abbott.
Brian Steele, my favorite.
Um, that's why I like discussing this case because we're like the jurors. So we're kind of like discussing it. This is our deliberation right now. We're discussing it,
Yeah.
even though it ain't finished yet.
And
Um,
for him to, in a way, to me, that's acknowledgement that it did happen. The defense should not acknowledge, and I understand that they acknowledged the abuse between he and Cassie, and framed it in the way that it was a toxic relationship. There was aggression on both sides. That's different from saying to an assistant, his employee, Isn't it true that you lied about how many times it happened? That's different. That's totally different.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Isn't it true you lied about wait, say that again?
Isn't it true that you lied about how many times it actually happened? Like you could look at it, go to Inner City Press. You'll
Yeah,
see it.
okay. Yeah, he
You'll
has,
see it.
yeah. Hmm.
You'll see it up there. He asked her that, and I was like, and that prompt, her response was, "No, I have not lied about anything." Either she said in this courtroom or on this stand, one or the
I
other.
yeah,
But his
I have a better way to say it. So one minute you said it happened twice, another minute you said it happened 3 times. Which is it?
exactly,
Okay, you said it happened 3 times. But why did you just say it happened 2 times? Just to put it out there that she could be lying.
exactly,
Like
like that would have
she
been
contradicting her with her previous statement to the
that
authorities.
would have exactly like to me that would have been a better way for him to say it.
Maybe that's what he meant to say.
Well, that ain't what he said.
But Medea, isn't it true that you lied about how many times it happened?
My response, if I was Mia, see, they lucky they ain't got no petty assistants up there, because if he would have asked me that question, I'd have been like, "So you concede the fact that he did do that to me?"
Now,
The
Abbott Chatter
judge would
said
have been
that
like,
means it happened, but she's
Medea, you need to
embellishing.
answer the question. He's asking, let the defense ask the questions." Strike that last comment. Like real talk.
Now, yeah, that's a problem if that really did happen.
You
That's a
look
problem.
look it up. That's a huge and I'm surprised that no other like law and crime, like the other networks are not like questioning that question.
The reason why is because they're people that's in the courtroom.
Hmm.
They're human beings. They can't write everything down. But I try to though, because I know how to write shorthand.
Hmm.
So I pretty much get everything. Um, but it's like it's virtually impossible to get everything unless you got the transcript. But um, that's that. Yeah, that's if the prosecution is sharp, they wrote it down. They wrote that part down.
And well, did you see that Law and Crime? They get the transcripts every day, and now what they're doing is they're doing a AI what do we call it? Like a AI video going over the transcript and having it sit in a courtroom setting. It's an AI video, and they have like a prosecutor. You can't see the prosecutor's face, but you see her mouth, and they have Cassie sitting on the stand like a pregnant belly. They've generated like this whole environment, and they run through the whole testimony. So I'm
Oh, I
gonna
have to
look to
check
see
that
if I
out.
see Mia's.
I have to check that out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, that's good because they get the transcript. That'll be a good to listen to go back to.
Yeah, every day they get the actual official transcripts down. I think they're uploaded or sent to them, so they have like every single thing that was said in court. But it's just that question, man. That question blew me out of the water. I was sitting there listening, and I was like, "Wait a minute, did Brian just ask her that?"
Is that video they do? Is that a free video?
Yeah, the AI generated video. Yeah, it's free
Because
and
we
it's
can
on their
find the
website.
Brian Still comment on there.
It should be.
Yeah, I'm a look into that because he probably didn't mean it like that, but it happened. Like, isn't it true that you lied about how many times it happened?
Yep.
Damn, man. Yeah, how many times that? You know damn well it only happened once.
I know, like, like it matters that it happened only once. It does not matter. The fact that it happened is the problem.
Um, some people have the transcripts. I don't know who has them, but you can contact them. But the buy them is expensive. But I mean, Law and Crime. She said, just go to the Law and Crime Network and watch the AI generated video. I'm going to listen to a little bit of it tonight. I'm glad they have that now.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that's something else. So, what if one of the jurors wrote that down? Oh man.
Or if the jurors, or if the jurors, or if any of them, I should say, hang hang on to every word that they hear, because I hang on to every word when
That's
I
all I am.
when I'm watching trials. I
Hmm.
hang on to every word.
I do too.
Yeah, so like, I'm like, wait, what?
And then I'll write it down. I'm like, wait a minute.
Mm-hmm. Let me see if I can find.
Man. Oh, the link. Okay. Let me see. Copy. Yeah, I'm telling you right now, I'm glad we talked about it because I missed that.
I caught it. I was so mad with Brian. That was like a moment that I'm still mad with him about it.
Damn, Brian.
Right.
And he could be passing notes too, Puff. Yeah, ask her this.
I understand that he might be passing notes, but realistically, even if he passing notes, it's up to his attorneys to kind of articulate the note in a non-incriminating fashion,
Right.
to where
Yeah,
they're
not
not
read it
actually
verbatim.
implicating him in any misdeeds.
What's up, Q?
Hey Max, hey Medea.
Hey,
All right.
love.
So real quick, I wanted to tell y'all something, but I like came in late. What y'all had been talking about with the Brian Steele? I just caught this little tail end while I was loading up everything about Brian Steele. Y'all caught something. Well, Medea caught something, but Max, you didn't. What had happened? Before I asked my question, what happened?
Medea said that she caught him asking her, "Isn't it
Who?
true,
Who's the her? Mia?
Mia?
Okay.
Isn't it true you lied about how many times the essay happened?
Mm.
How you taking that?"
Well, cause see, it was a situation that last live when we was on the thing, you know what I mean?
Mm,
You had to get the phone call. So I don't want to say right that part. But we talked about this, us girls, meaning like you know, everybody was strung out, you know what I'm trying to say?
mm-hmm,
Um and in being strung out, whether you remember things incorrectly or you strung out and those things really happen.
mm-hmm,
It's a gray area. Okay. But I told Medea and Celebrity because Rachel had fell off. Because anyway, I had said this. Brian still um was before the U.S. Supreme Court during the YSL trial, um, fighting for another client. All right. I have so much respect for this guy because I watched that whole trial.
Mm.
Um, and with that being said, it's like, I just wish he wasn't, a part of this. However, when it comes to the RICO, Diddy has the best of the best in Brian Still. Okay, he does. So yeah, it's that kind of thing where he's doing his job. He really is. And it's hard for me, you know what I mean? As a woman, as a female and all that, but I do respect the system in terms of good lawyering, right?
Mm.
Um, Max, we on the same page. It's like today is this. They did that thing. Today is this. Oh, they did that thing. Because we looking at it like just uh the skill set, um, the career of what these attorneys do, and in that middle part, it's like, yeah, due process. And I think that's why you got a lot of haters. Okay. But yeah, I know when you was doing the Nature Boy, you know what I'm saying? I get why the haters, because the mindset is different. It's not
Right.
just entertainment. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, we can clown, we can talk shit, whatever. But see, I met, Badea through the uh the latter part, the Georgia case with Nature Boy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I got that respect because it's like, yo, okay, she's willing to research, investigate, and all that. You know what I'm saying? Max, we go way back. So it's a thing. And so there is a different mindset, um far as like the like-minded people. That's the way I'm gonna put it. Because I'm not even gonna consider the chat. No disrespect to the chat. Okay. We like people who disagree, but they ain't gonna know that because they ain't been following you that long. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
We like to just have some open minds so we can be like, oh, okay, I never saw it that way. I didn't think of it like that.
Yeah, when she
It
mentioned
won't
that,
be that long. Yeah,
that went over my head.
yeah,
Um, that's why we have multiple people on
yes.
to come up to make some sense of this because we're like the jurors. We're having conversation and try to figure this out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
Medea, you there? She might not be there, but Cutie, hi. Well, it's kind of too early to maybe ask the question. And what do you think, guys? Think about guilt or innocence, guilt or not guilty, guilty or not
Well,
guilty.
I'm gonna say too early for, because you
Yeah, it's
know
too
how we
early.
was getting down right with our predictions.
Yeah,
Um,
it's too early.
yeah,
Yeah, let's
and
not even
and
talk.
me and
It's too
you,
early.
we operate different. You know what I'm saying? And we talked about this. Like, you do the opening, watch the trial,
Hmm.
and the closing. Whereas me, I watch the trial, then I dip back to the opening and the closing because my mind says like, okay, I just want to be blind because hold on, Max, I got a cough. Let me mute. Hold on.
Yeah, what she does is she listens to the trial
Yes.
and then go back to the opening and
Yep.
then listen to the closing. That's how she's
Yep.
always done it.
Yeah. Been
She
like
don't
that.
want to hear the layout of the case.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
if I listen to everything and I dip back, you know where that's going, right? Oh, y'all said we're gonna prove this, we're gonna prove that. Okay, and being that I've listened to everything, and we know the opening and closing has zero to do with meaning factual, right? And all that. It's just the fact of, I think a lot of people get it twisted when they do that. Not you. I'm saying, the people who don't follow like we do, right? I think a lot of people get it twisted, which is why we get all these narratives and made up stories and things of that nature, is because people look at those opening and closing statements the same way they look at what vloggers on whatever social media, they look at that as fact. They don't look at the evidence presented. And so that's just how, that's just me. That's just how I roll. Cause I'm like, hey, I want to see this. I want to know that. Um, and like you said, you're the 13th juror. I didn't see people, still that, I didn't see people still that, what you be saying? God dang it, what you be saying? Got them dead to rights. I said, oh, so I know it's people watching you that's way bigger. You understand?
Mm.
And that's what I'm saying. Don't stop. Don't stop.
Yeah, I'm just
They
trying
watching
to
you.
like, this is like a case where I never witnessed nothing like this before. And I'm just trying to, like, I'm trying hard to understand it as I move along. Because sometimes I have to go back and look at the law again and see how they're applying it. But as of right now, what they're saying is the government is going to have to try to um, connect the dots. But if they, because Abbott said here, she said still don't see the RICO at this point. So to her, they haven't connected the dots yet. And
Well, I
I
got
feel the
it.
same way. I don't feel like it's there yet. I don't.
I got it. I got it. And see, here's the thing with you. I know you got some stuff going on because I was like listening to earlier. That's what I was like, I ain't gonna tap in. Here's the thing. I know the video you watched, and I just kept saying like, wait, 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 because at the end of that video, he said, "Oh, I get it now. Oh, I see absolutely why it's Rico." He started with, talking about the less than, people of color and how they do us, right? And he
Mm,
said he just want his money. This ain't right. They should be doing what it should have been a 38. You know what I'm saying? But
mm,
will you listen as it goes along? Oh, he said, "Yep, this is." He pointed out every reason why it's exactly that. He said organization. And he said, I'm going to dumb it down so y'all understand what an organization is. Then when he dumbed it down, he said the enterprise is this, which makes it the organization. It's
mm,
done. It's established. It's established. So I don't know if you listened to the whole thing. The only shit that pissed me off, pardon my language, um, the people who were giving him the information, you know, when it was the extra, the rumor mill, the bull stuff, you know what I'm saying? He's doing this and that with his children and that kind of stuff. It's like, yo, they doing that and he's speaking on that. But I also can recognize what he did was point out the actual facts. And when I say facts, the things that you've witnessed, um, celebrity has witnessed, because y'all there, right?
mm,
He pointed it point for point, and it's crazy because you doing your lives and things, and we just like with our fingers. He was pointing out the same stuff. The difference was he said, "This is what this is, RICO." He was like, "It's an organization, and this is how you get to the organization." And that's when he broke down the enterprise. And I was like, I kept hearing you like, "Max, what are you talking about?"
Right.
He said in the beginning, it's not RICO, it's not RICO, it's not RICO. But
Mm-hmm.
toward the end, oh, he said, oh yeah, this is how it's established. And when he broke it down, it's the same stuff that you have been saying all along.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing.
All right.
He broke it down
Listen.
to the level of his house. You doing business out your house, right?
Mm-hmm.
Meaning the meetings. Like you got, okay, Max, come over here. My dad, we over here and we talking about whoop, whoop, whoop. The conversation, that's the start, right? Then we got a celebrity. I need you to go over there. I need you to do this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, okay, Liz, I need you to go over there, you do that. Let's just say you just picking up some money. See how I said that? Just picking up some money. I sent you, Max sent you, Medea sent you to go pick this up.
Mm-hmm.
You bring it back. You're funding some illegal whatever, unbeknownst to who we sent out there, right? It's the fact that we gave the command and they did it. That's why I was telling you, hold up, security guards, plastic surgeons, the threat, the blackmail, that's the RICO. They're already laying the groundwork, which is the Cassie part, which is really offensive to me at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Take her out the deal. Take her out what you think about this is why, this is why. Guess what? She was under the threat. If you don't do this, I'm going to send this tape to your mama. I didn't beat you down. You still about to get down. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Then we got all these other people. Now we got Mia. I don't believe all of her story, but there's groundwork. Boom. Go to Africa. I need you to watch her. I need you to keep an eye on her. The stylist. Oh, you ain't partying no more because every time you go out, she want to go out, set your ass down. These are all the things that what creates the enterprise. Sammy
Mm-hmm.
laid it out.
Okay,
Which when you
listen.
create enterprise, now we got the organization. I'm a mute. Go ahead, Madea.
Listen to this. I found the audio. Listen, Max.
You told Cassie she's a superstar and should get the money? I don't remember that. Aren't you lying about Mr. Combs' misbehavior? I have not lied to anyone at all. Isn't it true it did not happen as many times as you just said? Everything I said in this courtroom is true. Why did you make him the scrapbook? You could talk.
Did you hear
Oh,
him?
yeah, I heard that.
Yep.
Isn't it
And
That's
true
Madea,
you
remember
lied
last
about?
that's the
night?
problem.
But
Isn't it
but
true you lied
but
about
remember
how many
last
times
night?
it happened?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Remember last night we talked about that, meaning like uh the abuse and things like that. It's like, cause see, for me, we talked about it. Like, see, Max, you know, you was on something else, right? We was talking about it. It's like, hold up, um, just the fact that like you go on an interview and you walk in,
Mm-hmm.
this ninja's in his drawers. That's the walk away for me. I'm just saying for me. Okay. I don't give a damn how old I am. That's the walk away for me. But people are different. Okay. But so we get that. And then as it escalates and things
Right.
happen, that mode of it's not just getting your ass beat. You watching other people around you get beat down. Then it's the threat of you will never work again. And she, from my understanding, she has an autistic son back then. Okay. It's just a whole lot of, and I did hear you in celebrity. I agree. I don't think okay, hold up. Let me get myself together. I'm not gonna say she wasn't great. I am teetering. It could have been a grape the first time, but
Mm-hmm.
I do believe it was a situation. And the only reason I see that because of you know, the the persuasion of the Caucasian. You know what I'm saying? Be like, okay, I'm here. It's that's what be happening. That's just my opinion.
I disagree because I totally disagree. I totally disagree because of the simple fact that a lot of people need to have more awareness of like Stockholm syndrome, freeze, flight, fight, or flight. And to be honest with you, when these instances of SA allegedly happened to Mia, she probably froze. Just froze and let it happen. And she knew it was going to be quick because apparently Diddy loves a quickie. So,
Mm-hmm.
allegedly. So, she probably froze. And people need to be more cognizant of that because, like, why would she put herself through all of this and people already found out who she is
Mm-hmm.
for to lie for what? She's not going after him for any more financial anything. She got $200,000. It was a $400,000 settlement, and her attorneys
And
got
that wasn't
half of that,
nothing.
and she got the other half.
Yeah. And
She's
yeah,
left
I mean,
with
that's with you.
permanent.
And people need to stop getting that shit twisted too. That was her. What was you talking about? How you call it? The labor stuff. That was what she was owed
Right,
for all
yeah,
that overtime.
but she didn't.
People got it twisted.
Yeah, and she didn't go after him civilly for
Right.
the other charges.
Right.
She didn't do it.
Agreed. Yeah, and that's why I said for me, I'm battling because I'm with you. That's why I said that first situation. I believe that happened. I do. I'm just teetering on. I
Yeah.
just don't know right about you know, the latter, or it could have been like the opposite. Like, oh, okay, well, I'm here and I got this, you know, I'm the Lily, that girl, and it might have happened. And the only reason I say that after listening to Max and Celebrity earlier, only because, like, yo, you showed up for an interview, he's in his drawers, and HR left.
I
This
showed
is
up
before,
for
no,
I
wait a
showed
minute.
up for an interview once for a recruiting position, and my boss, handsome, handsome black man, like fine, fine. He had his shirt buttoned down. He was buff like 50 back in the day. He was a former semi-pro football player. He
Mm.
had
Mhm.
his shirt open. He was extremely flirtatious, even after telling me about his wife and kids. And I actually sat through the interview, took the job, and HR was not present because HR was off site. And it was just me and him in the office at that time. He was
Was he
flirting
fully
through the
dressed?
interview. Huh?
Was he fully dressed?
He was fully dressed, but he was flirting all the way through the interview, and I was just like answering his questions and kind of swerving his advances and letting him know
Mhm.
what I could bring to the table.
Mhm.
Because at that time, I really needed a job,
Mhm.
and I was just like, I can, basically put the line in the sand, like we're gonna have just a professional relationship. That's
Right.
what
Get that
my
job first. I get it. That's the same scenario is what Celebrity talked about, right? When she was trying to get a position and the whole boy was married the whole little nine.
Mhm.
Remember that? And
Yeah.
she said that she, seen him flirting, woo woo woo. She knew the situation, but he promised her A, B, C, D. And when he didn't deliver, she got mad. She reported him, and then she thought about it because she had been to his place the whole night. And what I had said was this last night, which is why I asked you, was he fully clothed? I said this last night. It's not the same thing to Celebrity. Uh, you wasn't getting a beat down and saying, I'm gonna give you this position. You wasn't a pass around. I'm gonna give you this position. No, when it didn't happen the way you wanted it, right? You got upset. You reported it. You thought about it. Which in both of y'all cases, right? I ain't mad at that. I'm saying you ain't rolled up to somebody that was trying to hire you for a position and you show up and they in their goddamn draws.
I've seen owners of
No,
organizations
I'm talking
dress.
about you. You said did. I'm you see what I'm saying? I'm not because you just it's a personal experience.
I get
And
what you're
her
saying. I
thing was
get what you're
personal
saying,
too.
cutie. But what I'm saying is, Diddy is not a unicorn. There are other men in powerful positions
That's my
who
point.
do the same exact thing.
And that's my point. That's all I'm trying to say. Diddy, it's nothing new. The point that I'm making is Mia, you roll up like this. HR dismissed themselves, and you didn't sit and be like, you know what? Psh, I'm out too. Because the fact that you got the damn interview, this is where I'm going with it. The fact that you got the interview with him, mama, you could get an interview with the next one. That's the point that I'm making. There ain't
But
no goddamn way.
you're not looking at the fact that that's Diddy. That was an opportunity. If I
I
had an
just said
interview
it.
with Diddy back then to do staffing or recruitment or anything like that, and he was butt bone naked, I would have ignored his butt bone naked behind and got the job.
Yeah, okay, and that's my point. That is exactly my point. There are some people who will roll with it, and there's some people like myself who ain't doing that shit. That's all I'm saying. I
So
would never listen. Listen.
if you
Go
showed up
ahead.
for a job that you really, really wanted, decent salary, perks, and also like exposure to an industry that you're in and you love, and they're dressed inappropriately in shorts, or they don't have a shirt on but they have on pants, or it's just not like
No, my
it's not
dear.
an
No, no, no,
interview
no, no.
type
Let's not
environment,
be
you're not
in. No,
taking
no,
it.
no, no, no. No, let's not do that. Say it like I said it. Inappropriately. That's not what I said. I didn't say shorts. I didn't say pants. I didn't say no shirt. I said draws. So ask me that question like that.
Well, he's in his drawers, and he's the owner of the organization. You're not going to even listen and interview him.
I'm walking away. Absolutely. I am.
Max, what if you show up to an interview and a
Max snoring.
female
Well,
is in her
that's a
bra and
man.
panties?
And Medea, no judgment. I'm saying
The
you asked me,
owner.
but I want you to ask me right. You understand what I'm saying? It ain't happening.
What do
Because
you
I'm
do,
afraid
Max?
to
You show
be
up and
in a situation.
you
Max is
show
a
up
man.
in a
Shit, let somebody be in that little that gear. He gonna holler. He gonna be like, yeah, he gonna chill. He's a man. He has the advantage.
that's not fair.
It's not, but he's a man. He has the advantage. That's the whole
No,
point. It's not fair
let
for
Max
us as
answer.
women to show up with a nigga in draws.
Let
Go
Max
ahead, man.
answer.
Go ahead, man.
Max, you
Yeah.
show up for an interview, dream job, something you've always wanted to do, and you have the ear of the CEO of the organization, but she's in her bra and panties and some 6-inch heels. You leaving?
No.
Exactly.
But look, Max. You hear what she said though?
What?
Did you hear what she said? Bra, panties, heels. She didn't say panties. All I'm saying is when Medea showed not Medea, when Mia showed up, she said nigga was in his drawers, just drawers. I'm just saying, ask the question correctly. And guess what? Even if you ask him that way, show up in drawers. It's still being honest. And Max, because he a Leo like me, he can go either way. Like what? Because Max might be like, yeah, she fine. She got on draw. Mike's be like going on the back. Who is some? What's happening? Somebody about to roll up and bust me up. Somebody about to beat me down. It's some setup shit on an interview, and you walk in there, and the chick is just in her drawers, titties out, right?
Right.
Let's not put the heels and the bra and the panties. That's making it like I started. Like that's just like some playbook. Like, okay, hey. No, let Max show up for an
But
interview with a
women
female
wear
in her
bra
drawers
as a
for an
part of their
interview.
underclothes.
No, no, no. See, yeah, yeah. Okay, I'm gonna leave it. You ain't being right with that. You're not being right with that. Because
But in
guess what?
comparison,
It's
Diddy
a
wouldn't be wearing a bra.
no, what I'm saying is women go topless all the time too. I'm talking about panties are just barefoot, you rolling up on an interview. Come on now.
Right. What I
Come
think
on,
she's trying.
Madea.
Hey, you guys. Hey,
Hey,
panel. Hey,
hey,
Max.
darling.
Hey, how you
What I
doing,
Hey.
Mom?
what I think you trying to explain is that first of all, that was an inappropriate attire. Period for an interview.
Thank you.
Okay. Period.
Hmm.
Inappropriate attire. So you go into an interview and you see, you're that person is setting the stage for what's going to happen in the future. So at
Thank
some point,
you.
you have to have some accountability. Everybody in relationships, we all get into relationships and things happen, good or bad. And then we have to self-reflect and say, okay, you know what? Once the relationship ended, what was my part in this? What did I do wrong in this relationship? Or what did I gain from this relationship?
Absolutely.
You
You got to
know,
take
what can I take from
accountability
you
for
have to
your
take
act.
accountability, period,
Yes.
point blank. I'm not saying that she was never a victim. She may have been a victim at some point, but then after that, you have to now self-reflect and say, you know what, I should have gotten out of this situation, file whatever claim, lawsuit, whatever it is, to get compensated for the wrongdoing, and then move on. No one stays in an abusive and now I'm talking about job, you know, because you have autonomy. You can say, you know what, I'm not going to stay at this job, because guess what? Change your profession. Change yeah, he may blackball you from the industry per se. You may not have that again. You may have to build yourself all the way back up to the industry. You may have to go back down to the totem pole, to an entry level position and then work your way back up through relationships, but
Nah,
you
I'm
know
different. I would have just sat there and did the interview and took the job.
but guess what? Then you set the tone for what's coming in the future. So don't be wham and crying and being all mad
Mm-mm.
because now that you know what I'm saying, and he may take advantage of you. But then you
Nah.
know what I'm saying, at some point you have to say, you know what? Now I'm gonna take control over my life, my future, what's happening to me, and I'm gonna get out of this situation. Because
Hmm.
You can't really
at the
you
end of
Wait,
the
can't
Ma.
really
day,
Wait,
look what
Ma.
at the end of
Listen.
you
the day,
can't
look
really
what
Listen.
make that
happened.
statement
Ma.
though because
Ma. Wait, no, Ma. Did you
go
hear
ahead.
me there when you said like you setting yourself up for something that may have happened? And she said, no. So please explain that, Medea.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna get to because
Okay.
this is the thing. If that were the case that, a person accepting that type of position is setting themselves up for what may happen to them or setting the tone for the future, first of all, the government does not have every single last person that worked for Diddy on that stand or even on their
No, we
witness
talking
list.
about you. You said you would have took the job because that
Yeah.
is your dream job. So that's what I'm saying. That's what be confusing me. Keep it like to you. So because
Okay,
I
towards
agree with
me
Mom. She
directly,
said you was setting the tone, right? And you said no for you. Why are you
the
not
thing
setting
about
the
it
tone
is,
for something to bad happen to you down the line? Just explain that, please.
okay, nothing bad would happen to me down the line because regardless of his attire and regardless of his intent and or motion, I would not be engaging in any type of inappropriate activities. We would keep it professional. He could
You
be
would
butt
keep it
bone
So if
naked
he'd
in
have
professional.
front of
slapped
me, it
your
would still
You
be
ass,
would.
if he'd
professional.
have
You
slapped
would.
so my dad, if he'd have slapped you and said, "Yo, this is part of the
Yo,
job,"
y'all
right? You
crazy.
would have
If he
quit.
sla- wait, wait,
No,
wait, wait.
would you quit? I'm
I'm gonna
asking,
keep.
would you have quit?
You
I'm
know,
gonna keep it
you.
to me, and I'm gonna keep it real honest.
Hmm.
Me personally, me Medea, I
Hmm.
fight dudes. Okay, so if he slapped me, we would have been fighting. Period. Point blank. End of story. Boss, co-worker, whoever. You put your
Okay, you
hands on
still
me,
would have
I'm
been
putting
without a
hands and
job,
feet on
right?
you.
Thank you. That's
And
my whole point. At the
you
end of
still
the
would have
day,
been without a job.
the result would be with the result. You're going to be without the
Without a
job,
job.
whether
I'll be without the
you
job.
stayed.
I would be without the job, but I would still be able to sue him because of the situation and the
Oh my.
scenario.
Well, you could sue him
That,
either way because guess what? Either you're gonna stay and let him,
that part.
violate you, or you're gonna stay and let him abuse you. And then
Hmm.
either way it go, you're going to still, be able to file a lawsuit. Will you win? You know what I'm saying? Who knows? What powers Diddy may have at that point in time.
Because you
You know
gotta
what I'm
prove
saying?
it.
But at the
You
end of the
gotta
day,
prove it.
guess what? You don't have a job.
That part. And that's what I'm
No,
saying.
but
Like,
in my,
what do you get out of it, right? If because see,
I get to
I got
build my
spidey
resume.
senses, huh?
I get to build my resume.
No,
And
what
the
I'm
thing
saying,
is, in
listen,
my culture,
it could
Mm,
be 2 weeks
Lord have
in,
mercy.
it could be
hold
a
on.
week
Thank
in
you.
that he
Thank
just
Ho-
you.
fucking you up. You ain't
Yes.
done
hold
shit.
on, hold on, hold on. In my culture, it's also there's a saying. It said "dupping no oof and frighten." That means that a ghost knows who to scare. Okay, so it's certain people that I'm sure that Diddy knew that he could work these little tricks and trades on. You feel what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that he wouldn't do it with me, but the outcome would have been extremely different from what a Mia is saying or what a Cassie is saying or Capricorn Club. We would have been straight up fighting. Like, I don't
Well,
care who
first of
you
all,
are.
Cassie was his girl, so that's irrelevant.
Right.
Well, his
Oh,
assistants, whoever he put,
it seemed like everybody that came into Diddy's circle, men and women,
Thank you.
he had messed them over. I
Yep.
feel like at the men, a lot of the men in the professional positions, they weren't really blackballed. He allowed them to go and get other jobs and pursue careers with other people and stuff like that. But the women, the disrespect he had for the women for whatever reason. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what that was about. That's something way deeper, than we all know. But he doesn't respect women,
Nah,
period.
you
So
know
the
what I think?
women, he
I
he
think the
he
men part, it was just a money thing, right? And they just like,
but
okay, I
we
mhm,
didn't make that money, I didn't get that career, but I could build after that, as opposed to the women, because them compromising situations, just blackmail, I'm
mhm.
gonna release this.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
we can't really just hang our hat on that, or even hang our hats on the women assistant or whoever that's already testified, because this is the prosecution's case in chief. When the defense's turn is up to bat, I guarantee you they're gonna have women marching in that courtroom, telling how Diddy, uplifted them, encouraged them, propelled their careers, was a very great mentor, supporter,
Yeah,
very
the ones that got
respectful,
paid
never
off.
did
Yeah,
anything.
the ones that got the coin that got paid off to hush. Absolutely. That signed those NDAs to never say anything disparaging about him in the media or anything. Yes, those are the ones that you're gonna see. Absolutely. But
NDAs
you're not gonna
and
see anybody whose career he propelled, in no other way because we would have been heard about them. Where they at?
NDAs don't matter when it's a court, when you're subpoenaed in
No, when it's
court,
a
right,
criminal
No,
Max?
I'm talking about
situation.
on the positive side. I'm saying though, the ones that we're going to hear that is going to be on Diddy's side that come on there and say all of the great things that he's done, those are the ones that signed the NDAs and got paid off to not say anything bad.
I
Heidi
disagree.
Fleiss. No, not Heidi Fleiss. What's the girl that signed? Cassie. But that was exempted when the criminal trial started, even though she signed a non-disclosure.
Right. Once a
Criminal
criminal
trial exempts her
situation is
from that.
happening, an NDA is irrelevant. And see, here's the thing that a lot of people, this is why I said, Max, keep going. Because a lot of people, we have to understand our age range versus this new thing, right? These new ones, they don't even get that if it goes criminal, the fact that somebody does something criminal to you, you can
Mhm.
still go to the police, file a police report.
Mhm.
That's not violating an NDA. Basically the NDA, all that's covering is like, hey, what go on in here, don't tell nobody about. Meaning like all the, you know, the illicit, whatever, whatever. But when it turns criminal and it affects you, meaning you got beat down, you
Mhm.
were made to do something that you know, against your will because you felt like you had no choice, that's criminal. You can go to
Mhm.
the police station. An NDA does not apply. But these
Right.
new people around here in this, you know, new social media, they don't understand that, you know, because they want to be salacious in their reporting. Okay. Which is why I say, Max, you better 10 toes down. Just stay with it. Stay with it.
Like
Stay with
Kalina,
it.
like
Eyes on it.
Kalina. Kalina had got
Oh
the
my
money. I'm
God.
pretty sure there's things that Diddy did to her.
That
You know
was
what I'm
so
saying? But
disgusting.
she is content with the money that she got from him, and
Oh,
also the NDA that she signed. So they probably can use her as a witness because she's already came out in the media and said, "Oh, Diddy did these great things. I don't know what anybody else is talking about." Blase, whatever the third. She's gonna be one of the. She can be one of the ones that go up there and be like, "Oh yeah, he was great. He propelled my career. I didn't have an issue. I was able to, get these
Yeah.
record deals, blase
I
and the
think
third."
you're
That's
underestimating his defense team. Anybody that's tied to any type of big settlement and or money paid by Diddy, if they
mhm.
put them on that stand, the prosecution will be able to impeach their testimony immediately. I don't think his defense team is like, he's got some
Mm.
of the best lawyers in the country right now.
hmm
Mhm.
Yeah.
fact. Facts.
Yeah, he
That
does.
is absolutely correct. Absolutely.
That is true.
Yeah. And we're just talking, and that's what I was saying. Like, Medea, sometimes we talk and we go from personal. I think you like me. You know what I mean? We flip it real quick and we don't know, it's blurred lines because we talk about the personal stuff and it
Right.
went back into the court. You
Mhm.
see what I'm saying? So we did this last night too. I can agree when it comes to the court stuff, there are certain things, it's like, yep, that's factual. Like, I get it. Yes, I agree. But when we get to the little personal stuff, you know what I'm saying? Where it's like, what would you do? What would you do? No judgment. It's
Mhm.
just like, hey, yo, I know I'm not showing up to an interview like this. I'm walking out because there's
Mhm.
not enough of nothing. Because if I got a dream, my dream is still gonna be my dream. All right.
Right.
Because if I kill it at the door, I've not had a situation to where I should be blackballed, right? Because it's just like, okay, I'm out. No, thank you. And I go on
Mhm.
about my business and I go to the next because that's what I was saying. Just to get in the door for a Diddy, that means my shit is set.
Right.
I am the shit to get to his
Mhm.
door. So I can go to the next door. That's all I was trying to say.
Mhm. Agreed. Agreed. Now, to their
Well,
defense, I think that they were probably all young and naive. So initially, those things they may have dismissed and took the job. Being young and naive and you know starstruck and all of those things. And then later on, when they saw that, the abuse continued, now you have to take some accountability and say, you know what? I think I've done the wrong thing. I don't think that I want to be treated this way. Let me back up out of this job. But we've done that many times, on these regular jobs. Like, oh no, this is not for me. Let me go ahead on, you know, and find me another job.
It's the same thing in relationships, right? You get with somebody, y'all
Hmm.
in love and love and love. And, all of a sudden, it's 3 years down the line. And all of a sudden, you get bopped upside the damn head. You got 3 years invested. You done had a kid, maybe two. Now you weighing like, damn. And you can still have your own, meaning you making your money too. You know what I'm saying? Y'all partners, but it's like shit. You could be in shock or then it's like, oh, for the kids, I don't know what to do. Who's gonna be? You know what I'm trying to say? Then the next time, then the next time, then the next time. So that goes to my dad's point, right? The Stockholm. That's where that I get all of that. I'm talking about in the door. 'Cause this is like your first date. You go on the first date. Uh,
I know the first day it was
if
crazy.
somebody bop your ass upside the head, are you going on a second date? Nope. If somebody grape you on the first date, are you going on a second one? Nope. Is it? If you show up, Max, remember that little situation in the bar? You know what I'm saying? You told us about that. I don't know this crowd, but you show up and it's a whole nother dude there with the woo.
Right.
I'm just saying, are you going on a second date, Medea?
Nope.
All these
It,
scenarios I just pointed out, are you going on a second date in any of those scenarios?
no, personal
All
is
right, it's
totally
the same
different
thing
from
with a job,
professional.
mama. It's the same.
No, personal to me is totally different from professional because if there's like a situation like what happened to any of the women who testified that oh they were slapped, like I said, we fighting it. There's nothing. If we are in a professional environment and you hit me, I'm hitting you back, period.
So it
And the
ain't
other
personal
side
that
of
you
it,
show up for a job and a nigga in his drawers. Cause don't you? I'm just saying, ain't you gonna take that personal that that nigga is
no,
disrespecting you?
But she said,
no,
but
I
she
mean,
did say he put clothes on.
if he was in his underwear when I for the whole interview, I wouldn't feel disrespected. I would just be like, yo, this
All
is a
right.
wild person, but okay.
And
I
I
mean,
so
but
don't I'm
to
not
he
Mon's
did put
point though,
pants on.
whatever happens down the line, why would you be surprised?
But
That's
he
all I'm
did.
saying.
I'm not saying I would be surprised, but I would conduct myself in a way for like with the guy that I told you.
Hmm.
My old boss, I was
Hmm.
his recruiter. It was just going to be me and him alone in the office. And during the interview, he complimented me on my hair, complimented on my eyes, and he was
Mm.
excited I was from up top and all this other like. But he was a married man, and like I said, he was very attractive. He was very physically attractive. I didn't give him no energy back. I kept it very professional. For me, in the professional arena, I wouldn't take offense because I know I'm working 9 to 5 and I'm leaving. Like all of the things that these individuals subjected themselves to, I could understand you saying take accountability. Like with me, it's working for 5 days straight. I'm not doing that for no job. I'm not doing that for no man. Like even in a personal,
Right,
nothing is gonna
and
disturb
which is
my
what we're
peace.
saying. And I think you know what I'm saying. I think we get you, but I think you're maybe not connecting with us when we say like in the end. Guess what? It could be a 2 day situation. It could be a week. It could be a month. At the end of the day, according to your, you
Well,
know,
let
you're
me
Well,
tell
still
I
you at
not
the
think
end
gonna
of the
have a
day what
job.
happened.
There's no resume.
I
Let me
think
tell
she's
you.
kind of like cherry picking her grievances, basically.
Oh,
You
okay.
know.
Can we hear what Max wanted to say real quick? I got you. Let's just hear what Max wanted to say, and then I want to hear
Hmm.
what you gotta say, Ma. Max,
Hmm.
your situation with that first day shit. You told us about the story, the bar.
Oh,
You know,
the bar. Yeah, her
yeah.
boyfriend showed up, and I got out of there. He had just got out of jail, and I wasn't trying to hear it. So I'm like, I'm out of here because they got to arguing, and I got out of there because I'm like, what am I doing here? So it didn't wait. It wasn't a waste, but I found out. But yeah, that was crazy. But look, I want to say this about that incident. She did say Puff put on pants.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, I would have
And
kind of.
that's fine, but I just feel like the way, let's just say, the way we know of what we've seen of him, what
Hmm.
we've read of him, you gotta be prime. You gotta be ABCDEFG. So I'm sorry, bruh. I, it's a whole interview set up, and you not dressed. And that's what I'm trying to say. Like, yo, it's creepy. It's weird as a female. And maybe I
Mhm.
feel some type of
But you
way
know
because
what though? This
because
ain't a
I went on an
regular.
interview kind of
It's
similar
not
to
a
that
regular
type of shit. A
position.
nigga was in his whole bed, Max, in his whole bed.
But
And you
the
know what
fact
I
that
did?
other people was in the room, you know what I'm saying, and those other people left, I would have read the room,
That's
because
what I
those people too would have
thank
also
you.
set the stage as well as
Thank
to,
you.
what the expectations are. Like, oh my God, we can't believe that he's in here with this woman,
Mhm.
and then it's, eh, anyway, I'm not even going to pull a race
No,
card
that's
because
scary because
she's
it's
a
like,
white
wait,
woman.
HR brought me to you. So that means
Hmm.
HR and me see you in your
Hmm.
drawers. And HR walked
Exactly.
away. And the thing is, HR didn't even sit and say, hold up, me,
Right.
step outside. I'm just saying, just as a
Hmm.
woman, that
Right.
shit's not cool. On
It's not.
I don't give a shit if it's a job, a date.
Mhm.
I got to repair. I need some repairs. There's no scenario. Me as a woman, as a female. That's all I'm
Mm.
Mhm.
saying. Because if worst case scenario happens from day one, right?
Mm.
Mhm.
You can't prove shit because
Right.
guess what? You stayed. For
Mhm.
much as everybody be talking about all this shit, Cassie stayed. She did all that. I'm talking one. Day one
Mhm.
in the real world. You stay, you ain't got no, well, no, no, with a high powered person. I'm just saying,
Mhm.
walk the fuck away or just like at least step outside.
Right.
Okay,
Mhm.
okay, hey, I'm gonna step out. I'll wait for you to get dressed. I'm just saying,
Mhm.
like, that's just that sets the tone to Mom's point.
Mhm.
Okay, whether people agree or not, because you know what they say, you teach people how to treat you.
Treat you. Yep.
That's the
Right.
tone set right there. Because if you falling for that, oh, I'm gonna say this real quick, and I'm gonna shut the hell up for a little bit. Max, you seen the little video, or any of y'all? Diddy tried to punk the homie Nipsey. All
Yeah, I
right,
saw that.
all right. So it's like in the studio for y'all who don't know, Nipsey clapping, and mind you, Nipsey's album was done, but Lauren was like, okay, whatever, whatever. Nipsey clapping, Puff say, stop that clapping. Nipsey, I'm gonna clap all night. Claps, I would did he say I wouldn't if I was you? Then he started trying to flirt with his woman in front of him. And Nip said, Lauren, come on, clap, 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 clap. See, that's how you shut some shit down. You understand?
Exactly.
That's how you shut it
Mhm.
down. Diddy was so used to that bullshit. All right.
Mhm.
This West Coast over here, Nip wasn't that type of dude. And I know folks who,
Mhm.
you know what I'm saying? So this is what I'm saying. Is certain shit, I don't care if it's a job or your personal, that you have to uh shut down. You have to
Mhm.
stand 10 toes down. But I'm also understanding when you're young and you're naive,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And you have that dream. I get
Mhm.
it. But I'm just saying, whatever scenario it is, when you are in a situation to where it's like, yo, okay, well, let me just, all right, hey, just get dressed. Because again, she had her foot in the door. You got an interview with Diddy. That means, I don't know. I'd have played like I'm sick, threw up, whatever. And I'm going to the next interview. You feel what I'm trying to say to somebody else? Like, I just would have played that shit off some type of way. There's just no way. That's all
Mhm.
I'm saying, y'all. Okay.
QT, what's going on, panel? Listen, I
Hey,
hear
Rachel,
everything.
how are
Hey,
you?
Hey,
congratulations.
hey,
All right.
I agree to a certain extent because I
What's up,
think what
Rachel?
we're failing to realize is a few things here.
Is he there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Um,
Rachel, you there?
Max, we hear
yeah,
Rachel.
can you
Max,
hear
no, I'm
me,
just making
Max?
sure. Because Max is saying, Max, we hear Rachel. You don't hear her?
How about now?
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
You hear
So
her now?
I've been in HR for a very long time, and I think what we're failing to realize is a couple of things here is, I was born, in the 70s. So I came up in the 80s and the 90s and, seen different things. And the, the thing that we're missing is that us as regular people, when we go to jobs, there's certain expectations that you have in your mind, QT, of everything you're saying. But the difference is this: when you're in the industry of acting, fashion, um, celebrity status, there's a different type of expectation when you're walking in that door. That when you're in that circle, there's certain things that are going to go down and you either accept it or you don't. So you're already going to know, because best believe you're already groomed. You're already going to know. We've heard all the things that is said and that is done behind the scenes. We all know, because we have Harry Weinstein that's done crap. We have Jeffrey Epstein. We have Bill Cosby. We just have all these examples. Wolf of Wall Street. Watch that if you haven't watched it. That 70s show, how that started. So I think when you're in a particular industry, if we're in a law school and we're all going to be attorneys, we already know when we're walking in the law office what that expectation of what that interview is going to be. We already know, because we're being prepared. When you're going to be, and this is the extreme, but I'm going to say it. When you're going to go out to be hoeing, you already know what a whole life is going to be like. You already know you about to get beat. You about to get or train ran on you. You about to get all the ugly pieces of it, because that's what the expectation is. So in HR, in the modern day today that I'm in, it's still going on. And you're like, what do these people not get? We have Anita Hill that exposed and changed the game in HR, changed the game on, look, you ain't going to talk to me any old kind of way. And this was a judge in a Supreme Court in our judicial system. So I think I get everything you're saying, QT, but
You
to
wasn't
Medea's
just
point,
talking to her.
there was a certain, I know, I'm just saying, I'm
Okay,
not
okay,
going into the
go ahead,
whole,
go ahead. Get your
yeah,
120. Then I'm gonna come
yeah,
back.
I'm
I
not,
got something
I'm
for you.
just
Go ahead.
saying that there's certain expectations. So I agree on both sides of the panel. But the thing is that, come on now, it's like the R. Kelly. My daughter gets approached with his team to say, hey, oh, she's a singer, she does great, but you got to come to his house for 3 days for the weekend. You think I'm gonna drop my daughter off? Hell no, because I'm already gonna know. But a 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, even 25-year-old still ain't going to be like, oh, well, is he going to do this and lock me in a room and do this and do that? No, but in the back of your mind, you're going to be like, ooh, I'm going to be with this grown man. My mom had said that these things can happen. Would it be a good idea? So those are the things that I think are the issues surrounding this. Yes, there's Stockholm and all this, but there's expectations that we have when you're raised, when you go to school, when you go to college, when you now go into the workforce, to understand what you're walking into. So for me, I'm like, Mattia, if I'm walking in, he got his pants down, I'm like, this is an entertainment business. I don't know. I don't know the F what these crazy people do, but if this is part of the process and I want to get my foot in the door, you gonna sit there. Now, are you gonna like it? No. Are you going to want to do it 6 months in, two weeks in, and then you're witnessing he's slapping somebody? Yeah, you might be like QT and be like, I'm getting the F out of here. Where's exit stage left? And let's remember, Cassie could have walked any time. She was not bound. And, maybe certain days or times he was like, yo ass is going to stay in this hotel because you got a left eye bruised. You got this bruised up. So you got to stay in there. But she left when she finally heard that his soulmate was him. Free will, free range. Bye, but I'm gonna call you. We're gonna have a closing dinner. She didn't have to go to that closing dinner to go meet with him, knowing the history that they had. So that's where people have to take accountability on what you're walking into, to know that expectation, because people, we're not dumb.
Yo, that's
So
crazy.
to a
You
certain
did
extent
you hear
with
what you just
me,
said, sis? Did you hear what you just said? That little part right there.
yeah,
People have to know what they're walking into. See, this is what's confusing me with a whole
But
lot of
see
the
but
conversation.
that's my thing is that UT, we cannot forget that, and I've been in HR. I still get grievances from grown people,
Mm-hmm.
from men who want to cry about something about happened, from women
Mm-hmm.
about that this wasn't done. It's a headache because
No,
people
I
still
got you.
don't
We're
get it
gonna
to this
stick to
day.
what you said though, sis. What you just said. That part you just said.
Hmm.
On one end, right? You said you see my point, you see Medea's point, right? Like it may be this, it may be that in a certain industry, yada yada yada. You brought up Cassie, but then you threw that little part in. As in people know what they're walking into.
No, they
Cassie did.
need to. They
Oh,
need
no.
to
Okay,
set the
cool. Because that ain't what you
expectation.
said. I got you.
But
I got you.
well,
Okay.
maybe it didn't come out right. But at the
Yeah.
end of the day, Cassie was
See,
19. She was vulnerable.
that's
She
what I'm
was
saying.
already doing her thing. She was in fashion already. She was
Mm-hmm.
modeling. So
Mm-hmm.
she had already had an idea. She already had an idea of what the industry's about. Look, we all knew growing up. We grew up with
Mhm.
a different type of music anyway. A lot of our music was sexual. This music today is beyond sexual. It's like I'm gonna freak you up, lick you up, put this do. It's horrible. Right now, today
Mm-hmm.
it's horrible. In our
Mm-hmm.
day, it was a little. We had Silk, we had Jodeci. It was a little more like not as it is now. But that's the thing is that if I know my daughter's going into fashion, you don't think I'm gonna sit down and lay the law down on how it's gonna be and what could possibly happen and the if, ands, and buts
Yeah,
and all that.
that's
Everybody's
now.
different.
That's
Everybody's
now. And
different.
that's now.
It
That's
doesn't
and
matter.
I brought this up. No,
Cassie's
what I'm saying,
39 years old.
listen, I brought that up last night, right? Is that time her coming in versus the way we get down as mothers and shit like that. It's a whole different scenario. Okay. And so I'm gonna bring up to you
But the
to
industry
the person.
hasn't changed. The industry hasn't
I ain't talking.
changed.
I'm not talking about the industry when I made that point. I'm talking about us as mothers. Us as mothers. It's shit we just ain't gonna allow. We gonna be on that. That's what I'm saying.
Well, we don't
The
know
industry.
how she was how her what
I'm
her parent
okay, but
groomed her on or
you
not.
made it personal. This is what I was. This is the same point I made with Medea. You just made it personal about what you would do A, B, C, D. Right? I'm just saying on the personal level. Yeah, we on the same page. All of us as women. And I will say Max, he got nieces and shit. It's the same type of situation. We all on the same page now because we understand. So I'm gonna go backwards to the first point you made, right? Which is you hear my point, her point. See, I might be because I don't know about mom. I might be the only person here right now who dealt with the industry very young.
Well,
That's why. Listen,
yeah, you were
let me finish.
probably in it. I mean, I
Listen,
dated someone
that's why
that's
I'm
still in it
talking
now.
shit. What I'm saying, I'm a female. That's why I'm talking shit. Okay, I'm talking shit because I dealt with the industry very early on. All right. Um, all the we're gonna send you the paid for Juilliard's triple threat, whole nine from ninth grade on. So it's some auditions that I went on and shit like that, and I got the creeps and all that. Guess what? This is me as a young person back then. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. That's just
Not
me.
everyone's gonna. Yeah, that's you.
And that's my point. That's what I'm saying. Everybody is different. That's what all I'm saying. Everybody is different.
And I agree
Okay, and
with you.
I respect that.
But
But I'm
eighty
saying for
percent
me, go ahead.
80% of Cassie's generation, they're doing what she's doing because they want to get their foot in the door. You know, you live in California. My ex is the producer of Wildin' Out, executive producer of Wildin' Out. They just want them girls to sit there and dance and do whatever they're told to do. If they're told to go after the show and go do a whatever party, they're going to go do it because that's a circle that they run in. That's what they want to do
Right, and
until
you know what my point
until they
is?
don't want to do it and then some
Right.
shit goes down like
And
with
this is
Cassie.
my point.
Thank
For
you,
me to be
Angela. By the
doing
way, thank
for,
you.
for me to be doing what I was doing back before Again, we talked about this last night. Before all the social media, before all the you gotta be extra, before all this shit was happening, okay, that was me. I was audition. I've been all the listening parts. I mean, I still have celebrity friends. Let me just finish my point. For me back then to be like, no, I'm good and keep it pushing. For me to have regular jobs, to get into a career and all that, and motherfuckers always trying to holler, trying to touch on me and all type of weirdo
Mhm.
shit,
Mhm.
that my moral compass and setup, my get down, mind you, this is 16 to 21. My setup was like, yo, I'm good. You know why? Because no matter what, I had so much about me that I know I could do better. I ain't got to deal with this shit. I ain't got to deal with this shit. I don't care who you are,
Well, we're talking
celebrity or
about, well,
not. And
in
so
regards
listen,
to the,
let
yeah.
me finish. So where we are now, right? Where we are now, there are, and I think it was you who brought it up. You know, these girls chase everything, and it's like whatever I gotta do. That's the difference. It's whatever I gotta do, and the
Mhm.
pressure is coming from social media. Okay, the pressure is coming from um all these. This my friend. Okay, I ain't got no hair, but she got the weave. I want to be her. That's why all these, mercs and all type of weirdo shits going on, male and female, because ain't nobody being who they are no more. I've always been who I am because I was set up like that from my generation, and my children, same thing. Now I got some little issues with these girls. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, hold up, hold up, hold up. But I'm just saying, you can always walk away if you are
Mhm.
that in your shit that you got it, whether you have your degree or whatever the case. And all I'm saying is the fact that she got her foot in the door to deal with a Diddy, there ain't no goddamn way that she shouldn't have said, hold up, okay, let me know when you dress. That's all I'm saying. And we still talking about that would still be back in the day before social media was blowing all up like that. This the making of the band era and shit like that.
But that's what I'm
Mhm.
saying. That industry, that's the norm. That's that let and take us out of it
So I'm
because
not a
Mhm.
unicorn, Rachel. I'm not a
that's you. But
unicorn.
we're talking
I'm
about
not a
Diddy in the
unicorn.
case and the
Yeah,
females
but you're talking
that
about personal stuff too.
okay, well let's take the I'm just using that myself as an example. But in this particular case, them women were in the bushes until Cassie settled. NDAs are only good to up to
Yep,
5 years
I agree.
anyway, so those don't matter. The issue here at hand is that staff who's now speaking out, I guess Mia, whatever who suited him, whoever she went through, she's coming out now. She ain't not nothing to gain but clout. She's coming out to say her side and do all this. But my issue with them girls is why didn't you say something sooner? Why did you wait till Cassie sued? Or why did you wait till whatever? Because
Mhm,
that's where I'm having an issue is that it's the norm until it's not the norm. So
mhm.
I can't have
Absolutely, I agree.
sympathy. I can't have sympathy and mercy when you was stuck in the bushes. You didn't say nothing till all. It's like the Bill Cosby case.
But
Y'all
you
didn't
heard
Mhm.
say nothing.
Maxie
For,
said
y'all waited
Mia
40
ain't shit
years.
though. You did
How
hear
the hell you
Mia.
gonna wait 40 years?
But
Or
you
Mhm.
heard
whatever it
Max.
was.
But you did hear what Max said about Mia though. Whether we agree with her whole story or not, she didn't do that. She didn't do that. She didn't come out the woodworks and doing lawsuits and all that. All she did
She got
was
money. She got money.
she got
Mhm.
her money for the labor discrepancy. Okay,
It
she
don't
didn't
matter
do
at
the
all.
civil.
That labor
Okay,
relations is the same. It's the same. She got paid for labor
well,
relations could be she's getting compensation because she either didn't get paid when she was supposed to, or there
no,
was
but
some
but
harassment,
what
or
you
there was
said was
whatever.
it came after Cassie. That's what you said,
No,
right?
no, no,
Yeah,
no.
you
What I'm
did.
saying
You
is
said after Cassie did what
She
she
didn't
did,
speak.
everybody coming out.
She didn't speak out. I didn't say nothing about her money. Her money could have been 5 years ago, but she didn't speak on it. She didn't say nothing until after the Cassie. Now her money, she could have got that 5, 10 years ago. I don't care about that. She still could have spoke up whether she got money or not.
Wait, but here's the thing.
Like Audra
You
O'Day
know,
had been.
when you settle and
Exactly.
you have all these
Exactly.
things, right? The government, in doing what they was doing, just a question. You don't think they was investigating and they sought her out? Because I'm trying to understand. Do you think? Because I'm trying to understand where she spoke out. When did she speak out? Mia.
She never did. She never did because her
Okay.
lawsuit, if it's HR
Okay. I'm lost right
labor
now.
relations is like a civil matter. It's an employment law issue.
Yeah.
So they're going to settle that and it's whatever. But to Ma's point, is that what? Yeah, to Ma's point, Aubrey O'Day also sued, but she spoke out, money or no money, and
No,
she
but you
still
just
said,
said
yeah,
Mia spoke out. I was trying to understand when did she speak out? Real talk. I was trying to
just
understand
now,
when Mia.
just now.
Okay,
She's never
during
spoke
court.
out before.
During court. During
Yes,
court. Okay, so that and that's why I was asking. So the government sought possibly sought Mia out to do their case. I'm just asking, is that fair to
that's what
say?
it appears. That's what it
Okay, so
appears.
then
But
so to say that she spoke out after Cassie, do you think that's fair? Because if she got
but
a subpoena, no, this real talk. If she got a subpoena, I need you to come to court. This what it is. How can you
you
put
don't
the
have to.
label?
No,
You don't.
What's this
You don't have
interview?
to. You don't
I
have
think
This
to. If
y'all
you're
are on the same
subpoenaed,
side. I think y'all are saying the same thing. She was saying basically that these women should have spoken out before the Cassie
and
situation.
I said I agree.
correct.
I said I
Yeah.
agree, and I said
Hmm.
that. But
Yeah,
And
y'all
when
if
saying
you
you
the
can,
said
same thing.
Mia, that's what messed me up. I was like, wait
and
a minute,
QT
Mia.
and
I got
QT,
you, Rachel. That
a
makes
sub,
sense.
yeah, and a subpoena, she didn't have to. Just because she got a subpoena doesn't mean she has to testify. Only if
Right,
she's
but
compelled
it's
to.
just what you said, Rachel. Do you see what I'm saying when the way you put it was like, because what you said was all these women spoke out once Cassie did, and then when I brought up Mia and I explained like, but she didn't sue, she didn't ABCD. That's I was just trying to, what I mean, break it down because it's like this, she didn't do that. I understand about other people, right?
She
But
didn't
in this
sue, but she
particular
got
thing,
money. She didn't sue, but she got money. She got
right? But
settlement for the
I got
labor
it.
piece. Yeah,
I'm just sticking to the point where you said nobody spoke
they
out.
didn't. They didn't.
Right, but I'm saying Mia is. I'm saying let's exclude Mia from that because she ain't spoke out. She has been quiet, and I agree with you with
Well, maybe I
even the
got the
subpoena thing.
wrong witness. The this
Okay,
last
maybe that's what
witness
it is because I think we. Okay, no, we got
is
the right one. Mia only
is the
she got
one that just
subpoenaed, and I
testified.
agree.
Yeah.
You said she
Yeah,
don't
that's Mia.
have to. Yeah,
Well,
and I agree
whoever the
that
one that just spoke out, who's the
you're
one
right.
that
No,
just testified
it
last
was
week? I
Mia.
thought she
It's
was going
Mia.
through Mia. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's Mia. And that's what I'm saying. The way, but you're saying she spoke out, as in like how these other weirdos are doing, like, oh, this happened to me too. Oh, I got a lawsuit. I was trying to just separate Mia from that because my understanding from what you were saying, you know what I mean? It's like it was all good till it wasn't good. And now everybody's speaking out. I'm saying, to
Everybody's
my
coming
knowledge,
out of woodworks, I think is what
yeah,
she, let's term it differently. She's saying that everybody now is coming out of the woodworks basically ever since
Mm-hmm.
Cassie
Yes.
has gotten her money. So this
Yes.
Mia person has been silent and quiet with her little
thank
coin that
you.
she had
Yes.
gotten years ago, but
She
Yes.
she's
never said
also
shit.
been raped and abused. She could have long said something, and she hasn't. She waited
Yes.
until this lawsuit. She
Yes.
waited. I mean,
Yes.
this court case, and now she's screaming to the top of her
Yes.
lungs. That's
Yes.
what is.
Yeah,
I'm trying to
and all I
decode
was
the whole
saying was
situation.
like the government probably do about the quote unquote settlement, right? And approached her. That's all I'm saying. Is like, let's say they never subpoenaed her, approached her, or anything. We still wouldn't know. That's what
Right.
I'm trying to
Right.
say.
Well, and
Does that
there's
make sense now,
also
Rachel?
Right.
yes, because
Yeah.
there's also like Mob did a good example. Audrey O'Day, they ain't calling her out, and she got
Hell
Because
money.
she
no.
didn't want to. Yeah, because she didn't
Yes,
want
she
to go
didn't
to
want
jail.
to.
But see, this lady, this woman, I believe that at the end of the day, she does want a lawsuit. You know what I'm saying? And she's probably helping Cassie's case because I think that's her friend. So I think that Cassie, along with the other assistant, talked to both of them and coached them and like, let's get him. You know,
100%.
absolutely.
100%.
Hmm.
100%.
And after this
Yeah,
is all said and done, and he's found guilty, on all of these charges or whatever, especially the one that she's claiming that he raped her, baby, she's going for the coin again,
exactly. Exactly.
But
But
again.
I
that
think,
Yes.
but her
that
stuff is
that
more or
remains to
less
be seen.
going
That
Yeah,
along
remains
with the
to be
it
RICO
seen.
as
And
does.
far as the
also,
labor. But I'm sorry, Madea. Go ahead, Donna.
also just to shed a little bit of like additional information, and Max, correct me if I'm wrong. During the government's investigation, they subpoena phone records, they subpoena social media accounts, they subpoena his company's emails. I mean, all of the paperwork, paper trail, everything. And I'm sure
Mhm.
they located Mia by way of that and did indeed approach her. Now, the fact
Mhm.
that she showed up because of the subpoena is because technically, if you're subpoena, if you're a law abiding citizen and you don't want no smoke, you're going to show up. If you want a chance being compelled and being having like a warrant issued for you to be brought into court, that's your choice. And also, one thing that Mia said on the stand when the prosecution was up to bat, they said, "Why have you not spoken about this situation with Diddy in the past? Why have you never spoken on it?" She said that she was planning to go to her grave with it. She said that her intent was never to come out and actually tell this part of her experience, the grape.
Makes sense. And that's
So
all I was trying to get at.
Sh- Chantel was commenting on if they waited or they not do compensation for their pain. We'll see in the HR world, depending on how you're looking at it, it depends on what the allegations are, and they have to investigate that. And the more time that goes by in California, there's statutes for certain things. And I'm not discrediting swimmingly how these women are psychologically, because everyone deals with pain and things that you want to you put in like a mental closet box because you don't want to relive it. But it's just there has to be more in the world we live in. People need, like, I feel like people should always have lifelong counseling and coaching, because it's very challenging adulting and living this thing called life, because it doesn't matter about age, it doesn't matter what industry you're in, but when you're dealing with something that that's unfamiliar and you don't know how to navigate that, the generalization of this world, the society is stereotyped. So it's like, why did they wait so long? Why did they do this? Why did they do that? And it's very, unfortunately, victim shaming, and it's hard to navigate that. And I'm just speaking in terms of the court of law. And if I'm a juror, I'm gonna be like, well, why did they wait so long? Why didn't they just speak up? Why didn't they just do this? That's why there's the Me Too movement now, which is why in all these cases women wait for that time for, okay, I'll speak up now because no one will, one, believe me, two, I took compensation for my pain and suffering. So how is that going to look? So it's very twofold and it's double standard. So it's very challenging in cases like this. It's the verdict isn't 12 people. So who cares about what this panel
Mhm.
thinks? Because you got 12 people that got to pass that judgment.
Mhm.
I got a
So at
question
the
for
end
you,
of the
Rachel.
yes,
Real quick. With that, everything you just said. So, for instance, right? Because Max and I don't know if it was Celebrity, the first live, or him and Medea bring it up. So to your point, right? So Cassie, for instance, because I just hate even speaking on that anymore because it's so much more. But so Cassie, for instance, right? To your point, she got paid, right? But now she's at court speaking about her experience as to what happened. Does the fact that she got paid and did not, according to all the sources, she don't even want to be there. She didn't want to testify. Does that negate the fact that she got paid? Or is it still that type of scenario which you pointed out? You got paid, why you wait till now? Because again, she got subpoenaed too. Two
I
months
think that
after
she, I
her
think that she
lawsuit.
was going to be. I think that she was going to be sitting beside Diddy if she didn't testify.
Exactly. Bingo. So some of these
But did you hear what
people,
I said? 2 months after her lawsuit is when they approached her. That's my point. You see what I mean?
Mhm.
They came to her 2 months after she filed her stuff. You
but
see what
this
I'm
is how
saying?
they,
So I'm
yeah,
trying to
but
play devil's advocate.
right. But this is how the government works. You sometimes ain't going to have a choice. It's either you do or you, or like Ma said, you're going to be sitting next to him. So which one is it? Well, I'm going to testify
No,
because
I'm
I
saying
don't
I'm
want
talking
y'all.
about as a juror. No, because you what you
Oh,
pointed
as a
out as a
juror.
juror,
Okay. Okay.
right? You know what I mean? Like you don't know how to look at it. Like, well, damn, this happened, but she got paid. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
So,
like
like, do I
G,
believe
well,
her?
you were on the
Mhm.
panel when Gina was on the panel, and this is what Gina said, and Gina made an excellent point. It's not going to matter because I'm going to have to follow what the judge's instructions are. I won't be able to objectively
That
or
part.
subjectively have
Yep.
an opinion because the judge is going to say you need to just look at this A B C D E F G.
Mm-hmm.
That's it
Yep. Yep.
to make your
Yep.
determination. You ain't gonna be
Yep.
able to ask those questions why they took so long and how much money. And even though all those lawsuits is public record because they're civil, so it's not
Right.
like they seal it or anything like that. But as a juror, I'm not gonna know that. I'm gonna have to
Mhm.
follow the instructions to the T and not deviate.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So at
Absolutely.
the
Yeah,
end of the
agreed.
day, the end of the day, I could ask those things, but you could be my juror, QT. You could be my fellow juror and say, no, no, Rachel, remember, you got to look at the instructions A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And I'm going to be like, oh, yeah, that's right. So
No,
then
girl,
guess
you know
what?
what I'm gonna do? I'm like, we got a question for the judge. We need to send a note.
No, but then but this is what happens, QT, is because then I'm not going to be able to make a decision and it just takes one juror and I'm going to say, I can't do it. Sorry. Cause I want to know all this other stuff. And the judge said I only could look at these top 10 things. So guess what? I can't. Sorry. Hung jury. I mean, and I'm saying that facetiously, but
No, I got
that's
you.
how
Absolutely.
my,
I get it.
that's how my mindset is. I'm gonna want to know about all this other stuff because how can I just look at the top 10 and not ask those other questions, you know?
Mhm.
So that's where it's going to be very challenging because, we can't look at all those other psychological things to know the answers other than she got on the stand saying, you got to ask my therapist. I'm glad she's in therapy because I think everybody should be in there. We all have things that we gotta talk it out, work through, and whatever. So it's just I ain't gonna be able to ask that because if the indictment has all these charges and then the judge is like, okay, you guys got to do your verdict, but you got to stick to these things, I'm gonna have a hard time.
Okay,
Me
so
personally.
so can we switch it up, especially since Ma's here, because it's my first time being on the panel with her. Like quickly, I
Yeah.
know earlier, like what Medea was saying, but let's just reiterate because I see some new people in here. So right now, just go around the little panel. Thoughts on the case so far, what you know. Let's start with the RICO. Anybody agree that where we are right now, that the prosecution, I'm gonna make it real simple, is at least starting to prove RICO? And if you know enough about the law, like they have so far, can we speak on that? Medea, you first, please.
The government is cooking. They are cooking. And in my opinion, they're creating a Thanksgiving spread. They've presented a lot of the elements needed to prove predicate acts within the last 10 years, but they're not fully there yet. They still have a lot of work to do. But they're
Right on.
cooking.
Ma, yeah. Ma, what are your thoughts if
Okay,
you've been
so
following?
I have been following. I don't know a lot about the law, but I follow some other content creators that do know a lot about the law. But from following the case, I feel like although the prosecution has been like laying their case, I feel like the defense have been chopping it all up. Like all of their witnesses are, most of them are liars. So if I was a juror, right now they still would have a lot to prove.
Okay, so quickly, because I know Rachel, you've been here a minute. So Ma, with that being said, because I caught what you said, you're not really familiar with the law.
The law.
See that one up above you right there, Medea. Uh, if you don't mind, sis, could you read off some RICO stuff like by the law? Because I hear what you're saying. Because we all say that as far as opinion based, right? We all agree the
Mm-hmm,
defense is chipping away.
mm-hmm.
But if you're following, but I understand you don't really know what the RICO is. If Medea points out the actual law, and if you're following and you clicks in your brain like, oh, okay, well, yeah, okay, yeah. Could you make a better like decision on just today? Like, yeah, you see it kind of going that way so far, as opposed to the way the crowd is the way we're just
Yeah,
speaking opinions. Like, yeah, the fence is chipping away. Okay, cool. Okay, so while she's pulling that up, Rachel, where you at? What do you think so far?
I think that they have proven some RICO. I'm with Medea. I think what they're doing is they're also attacking they're trying to get to the criminal organization. They're trying to put the puzzle together. They're telling a story to the jury on. They already proven the RICO piece because of Kid Cudi. So now they're just going step by step and elevating it slowly
but I have
for
a
the juror.
question. If this is just a question of as a regular person that would probably be on the jury, um, you all saying that they've proven it. So when the defense come back and they chip away at what you all are saying that they've proven, and so now the defense is like pointing out all of these lies and discrediting some of the things, how can you say definitively that they've proven it?
Max can explain it better because I had a
It's
hard time
factual.
too, Ma. Yeah, yeah, it's factual. And I was getting into this with Max offline, like, I don't get it. And he was like, no, they don't have to. Cause I was
It's
like, if
two
I'm
predicate acts.
yeah, it's two predicate
Yeah.
acts and they've
All
already
they need is
proven
two.
one. Yeah, they need two, and they've already proven one with the bombing. Because I'm telling Maxwell, if I'm a juror, just because we've already known that he meaning Diddy is emotional. He can go 0 to 100. So just because he sent a text that said he's gonna bomb it, I think it's all the sequence of events. So that box is technically marked as it's been proven to that extent. The
Mm,
RICO is different in the sense of reasonable doubt. You just have to show that the act is kind of like in some criminal cases, like with civil and how can I explain it? Because in my world, I'll give an example. So I deal with HR and I deal with a certain component of HR with some things that can be fraudulent. So in like auto accidents, I'll use this as an example. If someone steals their own car and puts it on fire because the intent was fraudulent, that's a criminal act. But if they're trying to do fraud, like pretend that they're sick and they're really not, it's harder to get fraud on that because there's medical that's involved. So that's kind of like how the RICO is. They don't have to, you know, prove that piece of it. They have enough to support the predicate act. That's what it was. It was an act.
Circumstantial evidence.
Yes.
Circumstantial.
Yeah.
But
So
with this
now
trial so
they're
far, they because you're talking about the bombing, the Molotov, that would
Mhm.
be circumstantial, in my opinion, right?
Mhm.
Well, they
But
do have the messages between
right
Diddy and
where
Cassie
Diddy
where he
saying
said
he
no,
was
it's
going to
but
do
what
it.
I'm
Rico.
saying, he's going to do it. It happened. We can't prove he really did it. That's what I'm saying. That's
Right.
circumstantial. Okay.
Right.
Whereas, in my opinion, and what I say, like, oh, here's where I am with it, because I'm not, I could take that out. That
Right.
part.
Okay.
Where
Okay.
I'm with it is this: the fact that he has threatened Cassie with, I'm gonna release this video to your mama.
Mhm.
The fact that he has her doing them situations she doesn't want to. And this is all like you see stuff with those that's actually in the text messages. Um, and I, for lack of a better term, to follow up with all these other people saying this happened, meaning get a beat down, call the surgeon, right? So let's DV in itself, that's a criminal act in California. So right there, that criminal act where you are, now you got your security and whoever else involved to cover that up. You then called in security and the surgeon. So right there, all of that's criminal. That's a predicate
Okay,
act, right?
so
In my opinion. And then the other part is like how y'all said, laying that foundation. Everybody that he hired, it's always you're gonna do this, you're gonna do that, and when they say uh, 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 for profit, profit isn't always monetary. The fact that he's getting something out of it, if you getting free labor, so that goes back to Mia, right? That lawsuit. If you are not paying your artists the way you should be, you see how all this is coming together? Those
Mhm.
are the things that set up, quote unquote, the enterprise to get to the organization to then say RICO. Those are just those examples so far that has come out um, in the trial.
now
So go ahead,
here's
Miss.
some key evidence that was presented, witness testimony. And for those of you who don't know, witness testimony is considered evidence. Cassie's testimony over the 4-day period, she alleged decades of abuse, including coercion. That is a part of his indictment. Drug fueled SMEX acts. That is a part of his indictment as well. Threats involving the release of SMEX tapes, like Cutie just said. A former assistant, identified as Mia, claimed she was sexually assaulted during her employment from 2009 to 2017. Capricorn Clark, another former assistant, recounted being kidnapping. That is a part of the allegations against Diddy, and threatened over missing jewelry, including being told she would be thrown in the East River. Alleged acts of violence. Rapper Kid Cudi testified that Combs orchestrated the firebombing of his Porsche in 2012. Physical evidence. Raids on Combs's properties in March uncovered narcotics, ketamine, ecstasy, GHB, 3 illegal modified AR Pum Pums with the serial number scratched off. That is a federal offense. And over 1,000 bottles of baby oil, which is like, that's just petty. Allegations of witness tampering. Testimonies include claims that Combs attempted to intimidate or bribe witnesses including breaking into rivals' home and offering payments to silence accusers. Now, for the defense, their position: Diddy has pled not guilty to all of the charges. His legal team argues that any sexual activities were all consensual and that the accusers were motivated by financial gain. They acknowledge past DV, but deny the existence of a criminal enterprise. So pretty much the information I just pulled up and read over, it does, those are predicate acts being proven by the government.
Mhm.
In simple terms, as far as RICO lets the government charge people or a group of people who commit crime as a part of a bigger criminal organization. It
Mhm.
helps catch not just the people doing the crime, but also the leaders who plan and or benefit from it. Bribery, fraud, drug trafficking, unaliving, money laundering. And what is why it is so powerful? If someone commits at least two within 10 years as a part of a pattern, they can be charged under the RICO Act, even if they didn't personally do all the bad things alleged. And that's
Does that
that's
make
why my
sense more?
position is the
It
government
does.
is,
It does.
I mean, I agree they still have work to do. I
Mhm.
Right.
agree with you, Moss. They still have work to do, but they're doing a really they're
They
doing a
laying it
great
out
job.
really slow.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you know what's crazy? I've been listening to people and they talking about the kidnapping,
Hmm.
and in California, you can get kidnapping. Let's just say you commit a robbery, right? And in that, you take somebody from the kitchen to the bedroom. That is kidnapping. So
Yeah,
when he moved Cassie from one spot to the other
yeah.
in that footage that we saw in
Mhm.
California, that is kidnapping. A
Hmm.
lot of people is getting that mixed up. Okay,
Mhm.
And
so
under federal
that's part of it. Go
statute,
ahead.
QT, under
Mm-hmm.
federal statute, kidnapping also is not allowing someone to move about freely. That's
That
also
part. Yep.
considered kidnapping.
Yep. Yep. And that's what I'm saying. It's like a lot of people, and that's why I'm like, I need Max to keep going
Yeah.
because it's either people are really going to do their research in terms of state by state. Because when it was R. Kelly, when I tell you I was on it, like, okay, what's the what they call it, the age of consent here? What's I was trying to
Mhm.
just break it all the way down because I was really trying to understand. And they
Mhm.
said earlier that the first live, I was like, yeah, them parents should have been there too. So I was really on that. So being that I'm in Cali, right? It's like there are certain things that I just know far as legally in terms of our laws here. Um, and so it makes it easier for me to follow some things. Having been dealing with Max for like, oh, it's been a long time. Okay, we be doing this trial stuff. You know, I'm talking about Rachel, we was doing it like where we could actually see stuff televised. Um, you just get to learn some things, and so I like that this is going on here in particular because, like you, Madame, for instance, you know what I'm saying, pull it up because Ma didn't know. She don't even know what the RICO is, right? So it's like, okay, pull it up. We talked about it last night. Here it is. So it educates um people who are new here. You get the nuances, And more importantly, we all have our opinions. Okay. And I put in the chat, I was like, don't nobody be tripping off me and Rachel. Okay. This, we know each other. Like, this what it is. It's no offense or no nothing. She have her view. I have mine. Medea, you have yours. Max definitely has his. It's a good thing that we could all just chime in because this is just us talking. And we are regular people. Those people on that jury are regular people. We just have to benefit, okay? Of like, let's Google up, let's see what this is while it's going on. You know what I'm saying?
Can
All they can do
can I
right now is
ask
take
a
notes.
can I ask a bit
Hmm?
of a controversial question?
Sure.
Do you guys think that some of the members of the jury look at Diddy as like a spoiled rich man who they've determined is guilty just because they dislike the fact that he's rich?
I'll say they're probably looking at him, in my opinion, like he black and rich.
Mhm.
Mm.
Okay? Because Max said earlier, listening to Sammy the Bull, like, oh, they just did this RICO to take all his money. That, yeah, in the beginning.
Mhm.
But as I listened to the rest of Sammy's, thing, when it was all said and done, he said, oh, now I get it. And what he did was put all the pieces together the same way, we've been doing it, day by day. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
He's
Mm.
like, okay, now I get it. Okay, so yeah, I think he's black and he's rich. It ain't even about being spoiled. Because when the injure, you know what I'm saying? It's like you ain't supposed to have that. I don't give a damn who you are. Back in the day, just having nice clothes, well spoken. It's that, you know, that's how I see it. I don't think it's like he's spoiled and all that. Good night, Chantel. I don't think it's that. It's he's a black man and got that, and he's a celebrity. It could be that. And it can also just be I got money and I'm rich because it is New York. I just remembered that he in New York. You know what I'm saying? So like, even if he was, white, clear, they might feel the same way. I'll mute.
What you think, Moss?
I think if I was a juror, I would be thinking I, like my true feelings right now about Diddy, like as a
Hmm.
person.
Yeah.
Because I do have some biases as it pertains to Diddy. Yes, I do think that he's a horrible person and he did a lot of these things to these people. Yes, I do. Um, but um, I just feel like if he go, I would be really biased because I would want him to go down because of what he did. What I feel like inside of me, what he may have done to Biggie. So
Okay.
I probably would be like, because I don't like him. I haven't liked Diddy since Biggie passed away. Um, and really probably before that, when I just started seeing him on people's songs or whatever, I was like, this guy is weird. I've never seen that before, and I didn't like it. And then Biggie passed away, and then I just saw him kind of like take over. So yeah, I just don't like Diddy. Period.
You
However,
know, that's a big that's I'm glad you brought that up. I
Hmm.
forgot about that.
Right.
And
So
mhm,
he
rich
is in New
don't even
York.
matter. It's like hell
it
no, I
don't
just don't like his ass.
just don't like him. I just don't like him. I don't like him, but I do feel like a lot of the people, since like the defense was like poking holes in their stories and stuff like that, even though some of the things I do believe, some of the things I don't believe either, that they're testifying that he did to them. Um, and then also too, like I know we shouldn't be victim blaming or shaming or anything like that. I was a victim of domestic violence as well. And so I kind of can relate to a lot of the women that, have gone through this. And yeah, I chose to stay. I feel like it was a choice for me, everybody. Just this is just personally. I just felt like it was a choice for me to stay. I could have gotten out. I did do a lot of the things the women have done, which is leave the situation, but I came back. And it was only
Mm.
because of my pride that I went back. I have children out of the situation, but you know, to be honest, if you are doing things for the better interest of the children, you're going to leave the situation. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to go back because, we see every day how, and I know I'm getting off topic a little bit from your question,
No,
but
no, this is good.
I know we see every day that people end up, taking dirt naps because they go back or they don't leave. So, it's not like we're not aware of the dangers of what can happen and what does happen. Because I was very well aware. I left multiple times, but I went back because of my pride. I didn't want to go back home to my mom. I didn't want the I told you so speech. I didn't want to start over, and all of those things. Eventually I had to do it. You know what I'm saying? Because I did get away. So that's why when I was speaking, I'm speaking from experience. When I was speaking earlier. And I also was at a workplace too where my boss, you know, um, you know, um put me in a sticky situation. And I did feel like I had to do what I had to do to get where I wanted to be. Ultimately at the end, I got there and then the rug was pulled from underneath me, you know. Yeah. So, and it was so many things that I could have done. I've even heard that or found out that the person had to do, what he had to do, he had to go to like, um,
Anger
um,
management.
it wasn't anger management. It was another thing like sex, sexual assault management, something like that. He had to go to. Yes,
Okay.
yes. And a 500, um, what is it called?
Hour.
No, like I don't know why my mind is blank now, but it
That's
was a
all
big
right.
company. It was a big
Yeah.
corporation. Yeah, it was a big
Yeah.
corporation that I was working for. And so he had to go to some classes. So I could have, and I found out very early on what happened because people that still work there, they knew my situation. They knew that I was uncomfortable in that situation. I didn't want to do what I was doing. A lot of people knew about it. Um, and so yeah, I could have sued them, and I just walked away and never looked back at him or whatever. But ultimately the only reason why I walked away was because like I said, the rug was pulled from up under me. I didn't, ultimately land the job. I landed it and then they snatched it back, basically. Because it was some chatter about how I got the position.
Right.
Mm.
Yeah.
So,
So I got a quick question. I don't mean to
mhm,
interrupt you, but I mean to interrupt you
yeah.
because everything you said. Let me tell you something. It's like, damn, this is the same thing. What I'm saying, like we're just regular people.
Mhm,
We all have our
mhm,
experiences, right? And
mhm,
I appreciate everything you said, especially the part when you was like you're biased. And so here's my question, because I
mhm,
respect that. If you were on the jury,
mhm,
right? Do you
mhm.
think you would actually respect the process and with the judge's instructions and things like that, just off the top, do you think
Mhm.
you could
I
do
think
that?
I could. I could because like even right now I am well you all have Medea. Is it Medea?
Yeah.
You have kind of explained for me exactly what a RICO is and um what the components are of a RICO. And yes, I do feel like the prosecution has laid those things out. Now that you've explained it to me, I feel like they have, but it's a matter of do I believe that,
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Those things actually happen to those people, given, the defense, cross examination, right? Is that how you say it?
Right. Yep.
So that's where I'm on the fence at right now, is that the defense has done a good job for me as to poking holes in a lot of their stories and their credibility. So even though I feel like they have, laid it all out, they're like, okay, yeah, he did this, she said he did that, and that. But I feel like Cassie was a willing participant at some point in the situation. I do feel like she should be sitting next to him. Even even though that she's a victim as well, like I feel like at 10 years, you don't go through that for 10 years. You know what I'm saying? At some point out of them 10 years, you are a willing participant. Yes, I know that he had her career in the palm of his hand or whatever, but at this point, after 5 years, you know that's no longer a career that you're going to be able to obtain. You know what I'm saying? At some point, when do you realize that, okay, you know what, he's BSing me. He not finna do nothing. We not finna make no record deals, none of that or whatever. And I feel like you've already garnered the relationships that you need to garner with other people in the industry, as far as Cassie, because she's been connected to all of these people in the industry. You've garnered enough relationship to go away and still be somebody.
I get it, but she was a drug addict too, and that's why I said later on we
Right.
gonna redo this because I get it. I know it's late, but and that's why I like these kind of conversations, right? Because like she's a
Rachel,
drug
I
addict.
need you to
She was
answer.
stuck. Yeah, we got to get Rachel to get
The
on.
rich
What you
man
got?
syndrome. I need your perspective.
Will the
The
jury look at
rich
him like
man
he rich and
syndrome.
spoiled, and yeah, that he's rich and spoiled?
So
Yeah.
I brought it up the other day, right? And QT was like, wait a minute. When I brought up the ages of the jurors. So that for me is huge because if I'm 70 and I'm looking at him and I'm like, he just has money. I don't think he's spoiled. I just think he has money. And I would think, a part of me would think, is he gonna try to buy his way out? Um Hard. And there's nothing against a 7-year-old, but it's different. There's 30-year age gap in the lifestyle and the whole, you have to kind of understand that it's an advantage. I could see why the prosecution and the defense maybe agree to have that because they're not going to look at him like we do because we practically kind of grew up with his music and we've seen more than they may have. So I don't think if I was a juror, I would see him as spoiled. I would see him as controlling, demanding, a sexual addict, a drug addict. Um, and that's how I would see him as. Um,
What about the point that Moss brought up, Biggie? Because this trial is happening in New York, and everybody loved Big.
Mm-hmm.
well, again, I go to the age. If I'm 72, do I love him? That's not my type of. That's not
Right.
my forte. I'm not listening to Diddy at 72. Was I listening to Diddy at 62?
Right.
Maybe. Was I listening him at 52? Probably not because Diddy was probably 30 something.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm still not listening to that music. So to a certain extent, I probably would be indifferent on if I liked him or not. He's just a regular person. Now, whether he's black or white doesn't matter because we could bring up the whole R. Kelly and he got completely off on his first trial. And
Mm-hmm.
he was the same statured. If not, I would think R. Kelly's way bigger than Diddy. And it didn't
But
matter
that
what
wasn't a federal
age for Diddy.
trial. That wasn't federal. That first one, R. Kelly was state. That's why he got off because that was in Chicago. They loved him. That ain't the same.
Yeah, yeah. But still, it's the same. His case was worse.
Mm-hmm.
Worse.
Right, but it was in his home. It's just it was state, not federal. But I get
Yeah.
where you're
So
going
to
with it.
your
I
point,
understand.
to your point, QT, it doesn't matter if it's state or federal. Diddy's in his hometown.
Right.
So the same argument.
Right, and that's why my dad was saying that point about big, and like Ma said, you know what I mean? Yeah,
Yeah,
he
but
is in his. He's in his
And here's
hometown, but guess what he did? He shook and came out here where we are, like, oh, I'm Hollywood, Hollywood. So it's people that be pissed off about that type of stuff. Like, oh, you flip, you ain't, you know what I'm saying? You didn't
but
do
as a
this, you didn't do
juror,
that for us.
I can't look at what Ma brought up about Biggie. I
Right.
gotta
No,
stick
I
to
got
the
it.
damn
Yeah, yeah,
instructions of A B
yeah.
C
Right.
D.
Yeah, yeah, yep. And that's what we were saying. Yeah, exactly. But you brought up the
So
age.
again,
That's what I'm saying. You brought up the age and the, if I
yes. So
listen
I
to,
remember I
but
brought up the
you
age
forgot
the
the
other
kids.
night. I brought up
Rachel,
the
you
age
forgot
the
about
other
the
night.
children.
Can
You
I ask a
forgot
Yeah.
about the
question? So
children.
are y'all saying
If
the
you're
median
50,
age of the jurors is 70? Is that the median age?
Yeah,
Nah, 30, the ages are
no, it's
30 through
across the
70.
board.
30 to 70, but the
Yeah, it
majority
was.
of them,
It only came up, Ma. Go ahead, darling.
the majority of the
Say it, Rachel.
jurors are middle aged. Let me
Okay.
just put it to you this way. There's more jurors that are between 55 and 70 than 30 to 50.
Uh,
So that changes a
Yeah,
lot
yeah.
because,
and it came up because they were talking about it, Ma. And I was like, hold up, wait a minute, y'all. That's
yeah,
all.
QT
You know what I
kind of
mean?
took offense
Yeah,
to it, but she wasn't
because
seeing where I was
you
going
know,
with that.
yeah, no, I got it, but it was still like, wait a minute, just because I was saying just strictly on, you know what I was talking about the DV part. You know what I mean? I was just based on like that part. If that is going to stand out to certain people,
Mm-hmm.
that's why I had brought up, when I was coming up, that's when they made that law. You know what I mean? About spousal um uh essay and how even if you're married, you know what I'm saying, you can say no. I'm saying I grew up in that era, so I was like, that, just to put something on it, if just like to Ma's point, she might be like, hey, I'm about that Biggie thing, right? It might be them older people that remember that type of thing, be like, hey, this is not right. That's all. That's all I was bringing up. I knew where you was going, but I just wanted to throw that at you. That's all.
And
Yeah. But
I
we all good. That's
really,
why I love this.
yeah, and I really, really appreciate Ma you bringing up your personal experiences because I
Yep.
think it puts it into perspective
Yep.
with when you're in that situation, and it is a choice after a certain time, right? So that's the issue with Cassie, and I'll bring up this, and then I'll go because it's late and I got to get up early. But when Cassie, when she did her cross, and I brought this up the other night, Ma, because you weren't on
Mm-hmm.
when she was being cross-examined by the defense, they done brought out them text messages that she was communicating with Diddy about on these freak offs, and it
Mm-hmm.
did not rest well with the jurors because she had to verbatimly read how she was like, I miss you, baby, and I can't wait to wrap my legs and get a big old hung so and so in my thingy thing and entertaining all of that. So it did not go well, that piece for her to read all, because of course she's saying, well, yes, I had to do this. I didn't like that. It was horrible. And I had to I had to sustain and suffer all these things. But the defense is like, okay, you did all that. You were not a willing participant, but a willing participant until you didn't want to be a willing participant. But
Mm-hmm.
let's go through your text messages when he's asking, and Diddy even said in some of his text messages, are you up for it? Did you want to do it? And she would make recommendations on, wouldn't it be a good idea if we test our people? Would it be a good idea if we did these? Like he was also to in a senile way thinking about her safety when there was these other people involved. It was the craziest thing with his mind. So it's almost like, what is going on here? So when she's reading those text messages, it's not sitting well. It's like, you didn't want to do it, but you telling them how you can't wait to have this big old thing in you and this and that. Yeah, I mean, it just was not,
Mm-hmm.
it does not look good for her, right? So
Mm-hmm.
again, if I'm 70 and you're telling me that you were in this for 10 years,
Mm-hmm.
so to your point, Ma, after 5, 6, 8, you already
Mm-hmm.
know it ain't no deal code. You only did one half an
Right.
album.
Right.
So what now you have interest vested. And I told Max this. I said women are gonna want to return in their investment.
Uh-huh.
So to your point, we go back to these men in hopes, in
Uh-huh.
hopes that the heart grew fonder in the time that I left and that you're going to do right by me. I am
Uh-huh.
sacrificing what I don't want to do for you to keep
Uh-huh.
you happy so you see the value in me, not for you to tear me down. So we go
Uh-huh.
through this thinking maybe, maybe, maybe. And after a certain point, and I've given advice to friends like only you are going to know when you're tired.
Uh-huh.
You. I could lead you to water, but I can't make you drink it. Only you are going to know when enough is enough.
Yep.
And I think those are some of the things that if I'm a juror, of course I have the instructions, but I'm thinking about that in the back of my mind. Just
Mhm.
like the employees, there's all kind of labor laws, all kind of grievances, all kind of lawsuits you could do, and there's lawsuits to where you could keep your job. I'm at a
Mhm.
public, I'm in the public sector, and there's all kind of people suing, and I'm like, and these people still, they get their cake and eat it too. They're over
Right.
here getting paid and still keeping their job because of unlawful thing. And a lot of it is allegations that sometimes cannot be proven and they get paid out of good faith. The employer is acting in good faith. So, when Diddy and they paid whoever it was the 200,000, that didn't come out of his pocket. There's insurance and there's all kinds of things that are covering employees when these type of things come up with labor issues. So it just gets complex. I mean, I'd have to sit and the judge would have to tell me, don't think about this, don't do that.
Right.
But it's going to be
Oh,
really
Rachel, that's what I was
hard.
about to say. That's what I'm about to see. That's where I'm getting between Ma, you, me, Madea. We all have our own experiences, right? And so
Mhm.
the DV thing, the been in relationships, um, this is what I would do on Java. I'm not. That's my point. Well, okay, yeah, I would do this. Okay, well, you know what? Hell no.
Well,
Soon
hell
as you hit
no.
me,
Soon as
right?
you hit
Soon as
me,
you hit
right?
me
Soon
one
as you hit me
time,
one
it's
time,
over.
it's
You know what I'm trying to say? So
Mm.
that's what I'm saying. It's like I I I feel for this jury because we can all sit and go like, yes, let's follow the law, right? Because we're in this like we like the law and we want to follow this. The day to day, like Ma would be one of those people. You know what I'm saying? It's like, shoot, okay, yeah, I have my biases. Well, I experienced this DV situation. Yeah, I kept going back. So she could go either way, right? Or hell no. Even though her situation, she kept going back, she could look at Cassie and whoever else and be like, y'all play too much because this is way more extreme than my situation. So y'all crazy. Rachel, to your point, HR, right? Shit, look here. I know how people get down. You might be faking. It could be this, it could be that. See, how does one navigate? And that's what I think is going to be the most interesting thing when this all is over. Is like age range and all, because we've all lived. We
Makes me
have different
wonder.
age ranges. How does that work? But I
Max,
can't wait.
did
I think
did did we
Max, you
lose
sleep
Max
again?
again tonight?
I think so. Yeah, he
Yeah.
he
Who's
put
calling him?
himself on.
But
He put
yeah, but
himself
one
on
thing I
mute.
can say, he put himself on mute this time. I heard a little snore,
Yeah, well,
snore. But yeah, because
he
I
did
was about
last
to
time
tap out
too.
too.
Who's
Yeah, I'm about
calling
to
him?
tap out.
I,
Oh
I
shit.
mean,
Well, he answered. It was, or he didn't answer with Rachel, then celebrity, because we was all gonna go like 1, 2, 3, try it.
yeah.
Oh, it's all good, Ma. Please come back, darling, because
Well, here's
yeah,
what's gonna happen. If
yeah,
she
thank
comes
you.
back, she's gonna get stuck in backstage. That's what happened to me the other
No,
night.
no,
And
no. I'm talking about in the future. Like, yeah, because
oh yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
Max is
yeah, yeah,
done.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
because
yeah,
this is my
yeah,
first time, Rachel.
yeah, yeah,
Because look,
yeah.
we on the
Well,
same
I
type of
have
time. I'm sleepy too, honey. I'm ready to go to
I
sleep.
have one last question and then I'm dropping.
You know what, my
But
dad?
well,
You
actually,
be on,
we'll take a vote
girl.
on it.
Okay,
Who's
go
gonna
ahead.
drop and stay
Okay.
up here? But
Okay.
quick question: How long do y'all think jury deliberations gonna take? Do y'all think they're gonna get to a verdict real quick?
No. Mm-mm. I don't think it's gonna be quick. I don't know. It depends on what the darn instructions are. Because how
I
many
was
how
gonna say
many
I can't
indictments is it,
answer it. I can't answer it
Medea? How
now.
many indictments is it?
There's how many counts? Um, Arson, kidnapping, force, fraud, and coercion, smack trafficking, transportation for the purposes of prostitution. I think there's 6 or 7 counts in the indictment, and there's a lot of testimony. So I'm like, I'm thinking that the deliberations are gonna be. Mm, I think deliberations are gonna be a headache, and this is the thing. The reason I ask is because the jury is currently not sequestered. That means that they're not being
Mm-hmm.
housed by the court. They're
Mm-hmm.
able to leave and go
Mm-hmm.
home every day.
Mm-hmm.
Deliberations is different. Once a jury goes
Mm-hmm.
into deliberation, they have to stay together.
Mm-hmm.
They're put up during that time.
No, yeah, that's a good point because a lot of them ain't gonna want to be sitting there. They gonna be like, "All right, let's just get it over with. Can we get it over?"
Right,
Because they're gonna want to go home. So you make a good point with that.
right.
Um, it's gonna be contingent on that one or two or three that are like, "Nope, can't do it." Mm-hmm. And then other jurors trying to convince, or round tabling. I hate to say convince, but round tabling. Okay, what don't you understand? So we could break it down. That's what is, and that's the problem with the age thing too. Because if they're like, well, what do you mean? We didn't have trafficking. What are you? You know what I'm
Girl,
saying?
you better
I
stop
don't
that.
mean to. I don't mean to laugh, but I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I can't answer it. Only reason I say that because I need to see the defense. Okay. So once that is put out there and I see their case in chief, then I can answer that a little better. Because right
I'm gonna
now,
say a week. I'm gonna say a week. We
just off
should
of
do a
right now,
we
Wait,
sh-
without even seeing the
we
defense,
should do a football. We should do like a football pool. Instead,
oh,
we do a jury
fantasy.
pool. Yeah,
Ooh,
fantasy
okay,
pool.
I
But
like it.
and then we could do the coffee. That's what we'll do. We'll send each other
I
$5.
love
But
that.
I'll say a
I
week.
love that.
I'm gonna say a week.
Even
Well,
without
you
hearing
I'm
guys
gonna
defense.
say a
know,
week.
you guys in the
Ooh,
chat and you guys catching the replay, you guys know that Max is actually boots on the ground. So he's in the courtroom in that federal building every day of the trial. So if
mm-hmm.
you're not already subscribed to his channel, definitely subscribe today because he will be giving you regular updates on the day to
Yep,
day. I'm actually trying to go myself for just closing arguments. And I
nice.
was thinking about the reason I asked the questions because I was thinking about the staying through to the verdict. But
Mm,
it's like that could be another in my mind, I'm like that could be another 1 to 2 weeks,
yep.
depending on how,
Howard said 48 to 72 hours. I,
Yes, he
I
did,
wish
girl. I was
Howard.
see
48
here
to
you go. I
72
was trying to
hours.
Rachel,
That
I
ain't
be
gonna
trying to
happen.
ignore people and your ass always gotta
Howard, I'm sorry. I say a
oh,
week. Because he missed the part where I talked
oh my
about the
god.
age group. Mm-mm.
Well, there's a lot of evidence though. I don't think.
Yes, you got to go through everything, and they ain't gonna remember everything. And there might be one juror that remembers one thing, and another didn't remember another, and then
Right.
under having to help understand. Because I mean, we have to. I feel like every time we get on these chats, we got to break down Rico because it can be
Mm-hmm,
confusing.
And not
mm-hmm,
let's not forget he's also charged with the Mann Act.
Mm-hmm.
mm-hmm.
So it's
Yep.
kind of like, this is the judge is going to provide extensive detail in his jury instructions, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But
That
I,
that
I don't see it being that quick.
the
That will be quick.
maj-
Let me if it's that quick, Howard. If it's that quick, that means that the jury already made up their mind.
That's what
Mm-hmm.
he's saying. But
Exactly. That's
Howard,
what he said.
the jury age group is older, so it's the The majority of them are between 55 and 72. And then the rest there's probably a handful that's between 30 and 50. But
I
most
put
of
the
them are
wrong Cash
older.
App.
I think the oldest one is 72 or so, in the 70s.
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
So
wow.
before I dropped down, um, I did call. So that's the one. It was me first this time. He didn't answer.
He didn't answer?
So no, because I went on mute. He didn't answer. So y'all figure out who's going. It's just like what happened last time. Okay, you called. Then
I
it
don't
was like,
want to
okay,
scream his name.
He ain't gonna
no, I
hear.
I mean I no, I did the IG call. So
You
he
have
didn't
his number
answer.
though, right, Rachel?
I do.
Yeah,
I'll call
Rachel
him
can
after
call.
this.
Yeah. But that's what I
You
was
don't
saying
have a
last time she
secondary
tried, it
device?
didn't happen. Yep,
No,
I
I would
did.
have to do it from this. I'd have to drop off.
Yeah, but I'm dropping down, ladies, and once again, it's been great. For the chat, I put Max's Cash App in, and I did for parking. We got to keep it brother going so we can get these updates and whatnots. And I look forward to being on the panel with y'all once again, so we can do this thing all over and just be like, I see this, I didn't see that. It's this, it's that.
Okay,
I
so
love
Medea,
this.
real quick, how long you think it's gonna be?
For the
Deliberations.
deliberation?
What's your prediction? I said a week.
Um, I think it's going to be about 10 days.
Yeah, I'm thinking between a week and 2 weeks. Okay, so you said 10, I said a week, and QC says she don't know yet. Okay, but you gotta decide if you want a $5 coffee or not. You better decide. We'll
Oh,
let
she
you think
left.
about it for the next call. Uh, oh,
She
she
just
dropped
don't know.
off.
Hmm.
Oh, okay.
That's
All right.
cool, but I'm sticking to my 10 days. I think, because again, deliberations are just continuous and they will be sequestered at that point. So I'm balancing the thought of them not being able to leave before they make a decision, as well as the preponderance, the amount of evidence that
Mm-hmm.
both the prosecution is presenting as well as what the defense is going to come with.
One last question.
Hmm.
I don't think they're going to be done by July 4th
I can see that. I agree
because
with you.
the prosecution is still with their witnesses. So what, they're not going to give the defense no time to do their witness list? Come on now. It
Well,
ain't going
this
to be
is
done.
Max actually said that the government had announced that they believe that they would be done by June 2nd, and that the defense had said that they would go from June 2nd to about the 4th of July with
Yeah, but I don't think
their
so.
case. Yeah, me neither. I don't think
Mm-mm.
so.
Mm-mm.
But Judge Submarinian, he runs a
He's
tight
strict.
ship.
Yeah, yeah. He don't want this to drag on. We'll see.
Yeah,
We'll see.
shout out to Judge Submarinian because he is one of the youngest judges and he's in his 40s. I'm in my 40s. I'm like, man, that's just an amazing achievement for such a young man. He's also a minority,
Mm-hmm.
and they caught him. I saw a short of him walking into the courtroom and with sneakers on, jeans on, and his headphones and his book bag. I said, typical New Yorker.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I know. I know. All right. Well, I guess I'll try to call Max and get him to hang up, end the
I'll
chat.
stay. I'll stay.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Okay.
Later. But yeah, guys, we pulled the late nighter, and I'm glad that Max actually fell asleep. To be honest with you, because he has to get up early to beat the traffic and fight his way to get to the courthouse. He is in the courtroom every day. For those of you who are not aware, he's boots on the ground for this case, the case of the United States versus Sean P. Diddy Combs. And he provides he'll do like a midday update when, as time permits. And then he does like an evening update. So if you guys are not already subscribed here, be sure to go ahead, give us a like, subscribe to the channel, drop a couple comments, congregate in the comments. What are your thoughts? You guys let us know what you think. If you're catching this on the replay, let us know what you think. Has the government proven a RICO? Have they proven the two predicate acts needed within the last 10 years? Um, how long do you think jury deliberations will be? Do you think it'll be a week, like Rachel said? Do you think it'll go beyond that? Drop it in the comments. Let us know. It's really great to hear from the viewers and y'all's perspectives. Unfortunately, right at this moment, I'm not looking at the comments in the chat because my other device is preoccupied. I'm recording something, but definitely let us know on the replay or in the live chat. We want to hear from you. Max, you there?
Yeah, thank y'all for holding me down.
No problem. Anytime. And I just said I'm happy he got him a little sleep and went to sleep anyway because you got to get up in the morning and get yourself to the
Yeah.
courthouse.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? All right. Thank you, Max. It's
All
always a
right,
pleasure.
Nathaniel. All right, y'all.